On ESPN.
ESPN Upstate.
Well, hello there, Upstate Carolina. How do you do? The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. This is ESPN Upstate. I am Rob Brown. What is happening, y'all? Great to be with you. Ready for 3 hours of sports talk excellence. And it gets started right now. I, of course, am Rob Brown. The pleasure exclusively mine. Thanks so much for hanging out with us, making us a part of your day today. Back in the studio, the man pushing the buttons, switching the switches, in charge of the broadcast, the great one, Lonzo, is at the helm. What's up, big fella? How do you do?
Well, I am looking into finding a caricature artist because I would like to get commissioned shirts for you and I as Mario Kart characters. I think that would be awesome. Ooh. It would be really, really cool, and I think we need to do that because
I like this.
I think I haven't involved marketing or legal or anything yet. But I mean, what a great T-shirt that just says so much about the show.
I like this. That place where sports and pop culture and nerddom all come together, and that place where we talk about what we want to talk about, how we want to talk about it, for the good of the people, Lonzo. We're here for the people.
I am curious, though. Can we put the backs of the heads of that show for men, somewhere in there? I mean, do we have to get the permission? I don't know.
Good question. By the way, listen to this. You hear this?
Where sports and pop culture and...
You know what that is, Lonzo?
I know what that is, but you need to tell the people what that is.
Well, hello, people. It's great to see you. Our live broadcasting has officially begun. Our live broadcasting has officially begun. Go to our Facebook page at facebook.com/ESPN Upstate. Go to my Twitter page at twitter.com/The Rob Brown Show or at The Rob Brown Show on Twitter. And you can click on the little button that lets you watch Lonzo and I do the show live. Me from the couch here on the Casa de Love. Zoe back in the palatial ESPN Upstate studios. You can actually look at our shining, bright faces as we talk sports with you over the duration of the show. We have got the sound issues worked out. We have got the video issues worked out. Those dadgum video games, we got them worked out. We're all good to go. We are up and running. And yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen, you can now participate. And by the way, this is one thing that I really do love about this. It is crazy interactive. Whether you're watching us on YouTube, whether you're watching us on Twitter, whether you're watching us on Facebook, if you drop a comment, it actually shows up on our comment stream, and we can even throw these up on the screen as we broadcast live, like I did right there with our girl Savannah Lee, who said, "Nice glasses, Rob." Thanks, Savannah. Thank you very much. I don't know if this is trademark or not. Our buddy Will right here saying, so that's what Rob looks like. Yes, underwhelming. I know, Will. Underwhelming. Most women I've met say the exact same thing. I'm used to that take at this point in my life. But as you comment, those comments are going to pop up. We'll actually be able to put them up on the screen, address them in real time. You can interact with us. And on top of all of that, during the breaks, Lonzo and I can actually interact with you off the air. So we actually are able to have kind of a roundtable conversation within the yard stream here. We are fully interactive for all 3 hours, but you have to join us over on the StreamYard. Go to our Facebook page at facebook.com/ESPN Upstate. You can watch live there. Go to my Twitter page at twitter.com/The Rob Brown Show. You can watch live there. Interact with us there. And we can pop you up on the screen. We can talk to you during the breaks. Will has also chimed in and said, I felt like that's what Lonzo looked like. Love you guys. Lonzo, I've had this discussion in the past about radio dudes and dudettes with their voice and if they match up to what they actually look like. I feel like most of us don't, right? Most people, when you just hear the voice, you get a view of somebody who is not at all what the person looks like in real life. I have always been told that I sound like a short, fat, bald guy. I am two of those three things. I was going to say I'm none of those three things, but that would be a lie. I am a tall, fat, very well manicured and solid hair dude. Lonzo, I absolutely agree. Your voice matches exactly what I expect it to look like.
So what you're saying is the dumb jock voice. Thank you. I pull it off. I do. Absolutely. I got the dumb jock voice down.
He says with the long hair and Batman shirt. Yes, indeed. Which, by the way, you can now see. Go to our Facebook page at facebook.com/ESPN Upstate.
Don't forget my edge beard. Although he's colored his. I don't know if you noticed that.
I did notice that. We will do that later in our wrestling and Mario Kart segment coming up in just a little while. So there's all the different ways for you to get in touch with the show. The phone lines, the text line, still active. 844-GSP-ESPN, 844-477-3776. Text us at 71307, 71307. Start your text with ESPN. Tweet us at The Rob Brown Show. That's also one of the places you can go to watch our StreamYard video here. Go to twitter.com/The Rob Brown Show. Lonzo on Word on Twitter, and of course at ESPN Upstate on Twitter, and our Facebook page at facebook.com/ESPN Upstate. Savannah Lee, by the way, Zoe says she wants a Mario Kart shirt when we get them made. So you have already sold your first 8-bit Rob Brown Show t-shirt. And now I got to tell you, I'm going to be wildly disappointed if we don't get video shirts of us as 8-bit video game characters.
It's so inside, it's not, but it's going to be excellent because I have it envisioned in my mind. Now I can tell you that I personally know an artist that can do that, who has drawn something for me on my other show, which you've seen.
I have, and it's fantastic.
And he can do that, and it can be very accurate, or it can be larger than life, but we can make those shirts happen. But there's copyright things and stuff like that. But you know what? It doesn't necessarily have to look like Mario Kart. We just have to be in go-karts.
I like it. All right, let's get to it. We start the show the same way every day, and it goes a little something like this.
Let's do lunch.
This is a very nutritious lunch. All the food groups are represented.
You guys are here.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here?
The lunch breakdown. The 3 things you have to know before you go start talking sports with your friends, family, coworkers, or the wall, whoever you spend your lunch break with on a daily basis. The 3 things that are going to be discussed around the water cooler by all the guys and gals in the know. And it starts right now. Item number 1. We did not know this was coming. I don't care what it is that Jay Glazer says. At the end of the day, none of us knew that J.J. Watt was signing with Arizona. I don't care what he says. None of us knew that J.J. Watt was signing with the Cardinals, but he does, and he gets fat stacks because of it. J.J. Watt is now an Arizona Cardinal, a big contract, one that is going to, one that a lot of people reacted, Lonzo, by saying, I thought J.J. Watt was going ring chasing. I thought he was signing with a contender. I've got to tell you, we talked about this very briefly yesterday, Lonzo. I think he did. I think Arizona is a contender. I don't think they're up there with the Packers in terms of the A-plus tier, but with DeAndre Hopkins added to the mix, with J.J. Watt there in the mix, with a pretty solid defensive line paired with fellow pass rusher Chandler Jones, who led the NFL in sacks since he was drafted in the first round of 2012 and 97. This is a huge move. And I got to tell you, yesterday, Las Vegas saw the Arizona Cardinals Super Bowl odds absolutely skyrocket, and I am 0% surprised by that. J.J. Watt is a machine. This Cardinals team, though, as far as I'm concerned, is absolutely a contender next year?
They're a contender for third place in their division.
Wow.
There is no way, as long as the diminutive one is their quarterback. There's no way that they're going to excel and go anywhere that's. I love J.J. Watt going there, so there's a lot of defense in that division now. But there's no way that they're going to get past all those. The Rams are going to be good. San Francisco's coming back from all those injuries. They're going to be good again. You forget 2 years ago they were in the Super Bowl, and if they didn't have all those injuries last year, who knows? They might have been right there again. So it isn't like suddenly the division got really weak. I just don't see them contending.
I do. I know you do not believe in Kyler Murray. I still think Kyler Murray's got a lot to prove, but I think he's got the weapons around him. I don't think the Cardinals are done, by the way. I think there may be another free agent acquisition or two. Defensively, they weren't bad last year. I mean, they got guys like Budda Baker. Now they've got arguably one of the better defensive lines in all of football. We'll talk and circle back around to this coming up later on in the show. J.J. Watt signs with the Cardinals. I do think that he is now a contender. Item number 2 on the lunch breakdown. The University of Alabama has announced that they are planning, Lonzo, to have full football stadiums coming up in the fall. Greg Byrne, one of the athletic department insiders there at Alabama, says that they have received a number of questions regarding capacity at Bryant-Denny Stadium for Alabama football in 2021. He said, quote, "We are moving forward with plans to have a full stadium in the fall and will monitor medical guidelines as we have all along." Here's where I fall on this, Lonzo. I hope. That would be great. I'm here for it. I was super bummed that I did not get to go to a Clemson game or a South Carolina game last year. I was very much looking forward to that. I hope we're in a spot that we have enough vaccinations to accomplish the herd immunity. I hope that we are in a spot that we make it to where full football stadiums are there. Frankly, it's not up to the University of Alabama, like it or not. It is up to the medical experts around the country. Nobody's going to take on the liability issues of hosting a full stadium if they have not gotten clearance from medical experts from around the country. But that being said, we've now got a third vaccination that has been rolled out. We have now got it cleared to be sent out to millions more Americans. I think right now we are borderline about to hit 10% vaccination rates around the country, which is a huge milestone on the way. So I'm just going to say this, man. We can get into the politics, the medical end, the X's and O's about whether or not we can pull this off. Fingers crossed that we do. Like it or not, it's still going to take everybody pitching in to get us ready for it.
Well, just because they're saying they're going to be capacity doesn't mean everyone's going to show up, except for it's Alabama. And yes, everyone actually will show up. And we're not going to know until we know. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. Someone's going to have to take that step and do this, and let's see what happens. And yes, is it a dangerous step? To some would say yes, but how else are you going to do it unless you do it? I mean, that's really what it comes down to. Stadiums have already been open to a certain capacity, and now it's time to ramp it up and do a little bit more. In this case, they're just thinking they're going to go all the way. And there's nothing wrong with being optimistic, ambitious, and again, until you do it, you don't know, do you?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's like I said, the big question is going to be the same as all of the questions that have been coming for the past, 8 months now. It's a question of what happens if you go against the guidelines. What happens if somebody gets sick and can directly trace it back to that event? What happens if there is an outbreak? I mean, look, we saw what happened at the University of Florida where their head coach was calling for full capacity, and then what happened? There was an outbreak, and that team had to go into pause for a hot minute. Teams are not going to take the risk of canceling games as opposed to losing out on 90,000 fans in the stands, especially a school the size of and a school that has the television base that the University of Alabama does. We'll circle back around to this later on in the show as well. Third topic on the lunch breakdown. Pro Football Focus has put out their most recent mock draft, and it is very, very interesting. Why is it interesting? Very simple. Pro Football Focus says that the Carolina Panthers may very well move up to draft Zach Wilson. Pro Football Focus is the latest to chime in with another quarterback mock pick for Carolina. They have the Panthers trading up to the Jets in order to take the number 2 overall and taking BYU's Zach Wilson. PFF scouting report says, quote, if it weren't for Trevor Lawrence's generational splendor, Zach Wilson would be the alpha in this class. Wilson earned a 96.5 PFF grade from a clean pocket last season, the best in his class, and managed to mitigate turnover-worthy plays to only 1.2% of his dropbacks, despite a 10.9 yard average depth of target, which was the highest of the potential first-round signal callers. You and I talked about Zach Wilson about a week and a half ago. Zoe had been telling me for a while that he believed that Trevor Lawrence was going to be a guy who might drop back a little bit in the QB rankings, that there were some teams who might question Trevor Lawrence because he did tend to fall off in some big games here and there. And there was a lot of talk about teams preferring Zach Wilson over Trevor Lawrence. Lonzo, Pro Football Focus now says that the Panthers are willing to move up. Look, they were willing to give away the farm for Deshaun Watson. We still don't know if that's going to play out or not. They were willing to move at least one first rounder in order to bring Matt Stafford into the fold. We know that they have been talking with other quarterbacks. It would make sense that the Carolina Panthers decided to jump up. Would they use what it takes to jump all the way up to number 2 and take Zach Wilson when there is the chance that Mac Jones might still be waiting for them at number 8, Lonzo?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I really don't see them trading up for that. But you're right. If they're willing to give up so much for Deshaun Watson, that's Deshaun Watson, a proven quarterback in the league. These kids haven't been in there yet, so we don't know truly what they can do. If they go up, though, I can't get past my bias. I still think they should go with Justin Fields, and I'm going to keep saying that. I absolutely am. One of the most proficient quarterbacks in a long, long time. You can't say that about some of these other guys, and you don't know a whole lot about them. At least with Justin Fields, you can look at his stats. You can see what he's able to do. And if you just wait around with the way people are talking, he'll be right there, and you don't have to lose anything to get him.
It's going to be interesting. We're going to talk more about that coming up later on in the show. We run to our first break. Again, if you're just tuning in, join us. We are live streaming the show. You can watch, you can interact. We're able to pop your comments up on the screen. We'll actually be able to have conversations off the air with you on our stream. Go to facebook.com/ESPN Upstate. You'll see the video right at the top. You also go to my Twitter page at twitter.com/The Rob Brown Show. Got it streaming for you in both of those places. Join us in there. Chat with us. Let's have a little fun. Quick break. Back after this. Rob, Lonzo, you. This is ESPN Upstate.
QC Kinetics.
You're listening to the Rob Brown Show. Let the game come to you. Listen no matter.
AutomotiveMap.com presents your ESPN Upstate Sports Center update, powered by The Score. South Carolina basketball tonight.
And for those of you that are watching in the
Arkansas, South
StreamYard,
Carolina,
and by the way, Lonzo, I do still have the
6-12.
commercials. There we go. Oh, sweet. You look at Lonzo on top of the game.
I had to put them in so you could hear the liner to know when to talk for your live, and I meant to take it out. Before then, I did not, but we're good now.
It worked great. So for those of you that are watching on the stream right now, and there's a hand for hello. When we do the live reads and sponsorships and endorsements like that during the show itself, we have to bail out. We can't put those out over the interwebs. So that's why we went silent there for just a second. But we're back. And like I mentioned, we can interact with you guys during the show. We can interact with you guys during the breaks here. Let's see, where did it go? Stephen Webb, who says, Lonzo looks like Peter McDougal, a.k.a. Chris Elliott from Everybody Loves Raymond.
Which I looked it up, and yeah, I see it. But my hair's a lot longer.
So coming up in the next segment, the Panthers are looking at drafting a quarterback. And Pro Football Focus, as we just mentioned in the lunch breakdown, Pro Football Focus says that they may very well move way up in the draft to take Zach Wilson at the number 2 spot. I don't know how much ultimately that's going to cost them in draft capital, but I know it's going to be a little bit. So we're going to talk about that coming up in the next segment. If you're watching, feel free to interact. Drop your comments, especially if you're over on, I think you can do it from Facebook, and I think you can do it from Periscope via my Twitter feed as well. So if you're watching on either one of those platforms, if you drop a comment on the video inside the platform you're watching on, it actually shows up on my platform here. And Lonzo and I can interact with you between the breaks as well. There was one thing that I was hoping would happen, Lonzo, and I was thinking, I don't talk enough for 3 hours. How can I talk more? And now we have the answer.
We do, and I could help you out there, but I was busy, and I was enjoying you teasing what's coming up in the next thing. And this is really cool. I've had some experience at this, and loving the interaction, and as you can see, I will respond. Now I can't get the picture of Chris Elliott out of my head. I've often been, some of the stuff he did was really funny, especially earlier on when he was on with David Letterman. I used to love when he would come on because he was so weird. And then he had a show, and I can't remember what it was, but there was an REM song that was the opening for it, the Stand song. And man, was he, I don't know exactly what he was. Now here's the thing. So Rob has left StreamYard, or he's just, put me down.
No, I just went solo for you because we can monologue like that.
Oh, okay. Just a little concern there. 30 seconds, by the way. I don't remember the name of the show. Now I'm going to have to look it up. I think it was a Paperboy.
I have no idea.
Yeah, it might have been before you were born, Rob.
I mean, I'm only,
I thought it was that
a
long.
little younger than you. Just a little.
Yeah, more than that.
307. Use keyword ESPN followed by your comment. Local sports talk on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
Should the Panthers draft a QB? Pro Football Focus says that they will move up to the Jet spot at number 2 in order to draft Zach out of BYU. I thought about during the break, Zoe, and I don't think it happens. I'll give you one reason why. The New York Jets are looking for a quarterback too, remember? Sam Darnold has been on the trade block. They've been in play for Deshaun Watson. They have called Deshaun Watson. They are keeping an eye on Deshaun Watch 2021. Bum, bum, bum. They are in play for a quarterback too. And if, which we have gotten from multiple scouts that this is true, if it is accurate that the New York Jets are in play for a quarterback, and if it is accurate that there are many teams who believe that Zach Wilson has the potential to be as good, if not better, than Trevor Lawrence down the line, then the New York Jets may very well take Zach Wilson at that 2 spot, in which case Carolina may or may not. See, here's where it gets a little dicey for the Panthers. If they can't get Deshaun in Deshaun Watch 2021, if they can't bring in another guy via trade and they wait for the draft, the issue that you have is that we could have quarterbacks come off the board 1-2. TL16 to the Jags at 1, Zach Wilson out of BYU to the Jets at number 2. There are more quarterbacks that are on the board. We have mentioned, obviously, the guy that we have been talking about from Alabama, Mac Jones. You've also got Trey Lance from North Dakota State, who is considered a first rounder by a lot of folks. My fear at that point is that quarterbacks coming off the board at 1-2 leave you in a spot where there's a bit of a QB run early. There might be some other teams that go, well, we know that the Carolina Panthers, they're at number 8, are looking quarterback. We know there's a couple of teams at 3 through 7 that could be looking at quarterback. And if they are looking at quarterback, those QBs may come off the board. So the Panthers have 2 options. If they cannot trade up into the Jet spot at number 2. Number 1 is they wait it out at number 8 and hope that Mac Jones falls to them, or they take a flyer and a gamble on bringing in Trey Lance out of North Dakota State or Justin Fields. The risk that they have is if TL16 comes off the board 1, Zach Wilson comes off the board 2, everybody knows that teams 3 through 8 all have at least some interest in a quarterback. You might see some teams with heavier draft capital try to trade up ahead of the Panthers, which to me says the Panthers at that point may need to trade up themselves. But there is a clear drop-off, in my opinion, from TL16 at number 1 and Zach Wilson at number 2 to the next tier of quarterbacks, which are Mac Jones, Justin Fields, and Trey Lance. And if Carolina ends up moving up, they'll be moving up for a second tier. And I'm not saying it's like a huge drop-off, but there's a drop-off to me. They will be trading up to grab a quarterback that most years are probably guys that get drafted in the 10 to 20 region, but they may have to move up to 5 or 6, move up a spot or 2 to ensure that they can get one of those guys. And it is still a risk, Lonzo. I'm not saying they shouldn't do it. I'm saying there are question marks about what it will cost versus the return on investment for Carolina.
You know what? I just don't see them moving up. And I'm trying to look and see, who all's ahead of them. Miami doesn't need a quarterback. Cincinnati doesn't need a quarterback. Philadelphia, yeah. Detroit, yeah. So, I mean, maybe you trade up, but you don't trade up nearly as far. Maybe you move up to 6. You wouldn't have to give up as much and be able to take someone who you're considering lower tier. We'll see about that. But at least you're not moving up to 2. You have to give way too much up for 2. And the Jets they're not going to do that. The only thing the Jets would do to give up 2 would be to get Deshaun Watson. That's the only thing I see them doing to give up 2.
I agree with that. To move up that high, you better be landing.
And also keep in mind, they still have a quarterback. It isn't like they have 0 quarterback. That quarterback is still on the team, right?
Yep. Absolutely. 844-GSP, ESPN. So I am putting you in charge now. I am putting you in charge. What is it that you are looking for? What is it that you are looking for the Panthers to do? Would you be happy if they can? And by the way, like I said, in order to get to number 2 and replace the New York Jets team that is looking for, I don't know why, I'd be happy with Sam Darnold. I think the guy has shown that he's still got a roof that he's climbing towards. But if the Jets are indeed ready to move on from Sam Darnold, would you be willing to bump up to the 2 spot, knowing that the Jets are going to put a very high ransom on that pick. They've got a QB. They want a QB. They're going to put a very high ransom. If the Jets did not have a Sam Darnold caliber quarterback, then I think the price for that number 2 spot is kind of in question. But you're going to have to put together a king's ransom for the number 2 spot. Probably not as much as you would have to put together if you can keep yourself in Deshaun Watson 2021 bum. But if you can't, and you got to go for the 2, it's going to cost you an arm and a leg if you were Carolina. Might you be willing to maybe just bump up 2 spots, go to the 6? You'll probably have Trey Lance or Justin Fields fall to you at number 6. Now, Will Flint has just left a comment on our stream, which, by the way, you can follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/ESPN Upstate, or go to my Twitter page at twitter.com/ESPN Upstate. Click on the Watch Live button. You can watch Lonzo when I do the show and interact there. Will Flint says Adam Gase is the reason that Darnold has not shown any growth, or rather was the reason that Darnold has not shown any growth. And I agree with you. I agree with you on that. Adam Gase was the problem. It is not often that I point at a franchise and go, your problems begin and end with just the head coach, right? I think the Seahawks right now are having that issue with Pete Carroll. Adam Gase with the New York Jets was that problem as well. That wasn't the problem in Houston with the Texans. It wasn't just Bill O'Brien, and we're seeing that play out. I said that before Bill O'Brien got fired. I said that after he got fired. That's an administrative problem. The Jets do have an administrative problem, and I think bringing in Robert Saleh is going to maybe help mitigate that a little bit, unless they handcuff that guy. But I agree with you. Adam Gase was the problem. That's one reason more that the Jets might put a big price tag on that number 2, or they may have no interest. I mean, it might work the exact opposite way. To tell you the truth, it might work the opposite way. Robert Saleh may show up and decide, you know what? I like Sam Darnold. He's got a lot of room for growth. We are bringing in Mike LaFleur. LaFleur's brother, the Green Bay Packers coach's brother, runs a very Shanahan-style offense. It's going to open up the floor for Sam Darnold just a little bit. Maybe they're happy with that. And if they are happy with Sam Darnold, it might make them more willing to trade back in the draft. And maybe Carolina can get a deal there. All that to be said, Lonzo, I still want Deshaun Watson. I want him before Trevor Lawrence. I want him before Justin Fields. I want him before Zach Wilson. I want him before Trey Lance. I still ultimately want Deshaun Watson there in Carolina, or in Carolina.
I agree with you that Deshaun Watson will be the best option, but since he's not going to be traded, you need to look to the draft or other free agents. And so I think the draft is the way to go. And, going up a couple spots is one thing, but you're right. Maybe the Jets decide that they're going to keep who they have. Then you could trade out of that spot if you're not going to go quarterback. And then is a possibility. But what does Carolina really have to offer to get up there? And how much would they have to give up? And is there a quarterback that will be left on the board worth giving up a couple years worth of draft picks? I don't think so.
Text line 71307. Start your text with ESPN at ESPN. I would turn in my fan badge if Carolina trades up to take any quarterback not named Trevor Lawrence. Every other QB is a reach to take in the top 10. Zoe, I'm going to respond with Trevor Lawrence, to me, I think was the only one that I put a check on as a can't-miss draft prospect, right? Zach Wilson, though, I have been shocked at the number of NFL insiders who have been saying that Zach Wilson is being considered a very stout number 2 to Trevor Lawrence. In fact, at least a few NFL teams have Zach Wilson graded out as higher than Trevor Lawrence, as a better long-term NFL prospect than Trevor Lawrence. I would be fine ending with TL16 or Zach Wilson, but neither, no names outside of those, Lonzo.
I get the bias towards Trevor Lawrence, but still, you need to keep in mind how he wilted when he went up against some defenses that really put the hurt on him. And that's Ohio State put the hurt on him. Some other defenses put the hurt when he went up against really, really good defenses, he struggled. And even the worst defense in the NFL is going to be better than any ACC defense. And I worry that he is going to struggle, and excuses will be made for him, and they shouldn't be. There should be no excuse. This kid has the talent to be really, really good. And I don't know, can you get better at it? Yeah, you can. It's going to take actually going up against good teams week in and week out. And wherever he goes, this will be the first time he does that. Because in the ACC, he's not seeing any of that. When he got to the playoffs, he did see that, and he struggled quite a bit.
844 GSP ESPN 844-477-3776. Text us at 71307. 71307. Start your text with ESPN. We'll read them on the air. And join us on the stream. Facebook.com/ESPN Upstate. You can watch the show live and interact with us as we do it. Leave your comments. We'll discuss them on and during the breaks, off the air. Speaking of breaks, let's take one. When we come back, Dabo Swinney has now spoken out on the departure of one of the two defensive starters that have left Clemson. What does Dabo say was the reason for it? I'll give you that coming up next on The Rob Brown Show. Rob Lonzo and you. This is ESPN Upstate. Hey, there we go. Look at that. We got through 2 segments. I haven't broken anything on the internet yet, Lonzo. I'm proud of us.
Great job, Rob.
Thanks,
Way to
buddy.
go.
Thanks so much.
Now you're going to have that thing where I leave the room, but you're fine because you don't need me.
Let's see. I had a tweet to address. There it is. Steven writes in and says, Rob, are you a stout beer guy? I am a stout beer guy, Steven, but ordinarily if I'm going to drink a stout, I drink a stout. Like I have a stout. It's not, I don't sit there and drink 4 or 5 stouts. Usually it's, for me, depending on what time of day it is, if it's daytime, if the sun's up, I'm usually drinking a very light beer. I'm talking like a golden ale kind of deal. With dinner time, as the sun's going down, I'm usually a lager guy. If it is after dinner, I'm usually moving on to ambers, stuff that's a little bit darker but not heavy. And then usually I will switch to stouts towards the end of the night. Like I'm home from dinner. I had a nice date. I'm relaxing on the couch. I'm getting ready for bed. I might have a stout to cap off the night. But I'm also at that point just as likely to have a dessert beer, right? I'm likely to have Purple Haze from Avita Brewery. Purple Haze is one of my favorite beers of all time. It's a kind of a blueberry infused beer. It's absolutely delicious, but it's like it's got a little sweetness to it. So it's kind of a one right before I go to bed kind of beer, and that's it. So yeah, I will drink a stout, Steven. I'm not the biggest stout guy in the world. I will acknowledge that. I'm not a huge stout guy, but I will have one here and there, usually as kind of a nightcap kind of situation. But I appreciate the question. If you got an idea for a stout that I should try from around here, I've had a handful, but usually a stout kind of signals the end of the night for me, right? If I'm having a stout, it means I'm just about done with my evening, whether I'm out in public or not. So if you got any stouts that you suggest, throw them down in the comments, whether you're on Twitter or on Facebook or on YouTube. They filter over onto our platform here. You got an idea for a stout for me to try? Drop in the comments. I'll put it down. I got a running list of all the different beers to try, and I'm going to put it on there. Go ahead, Zoe.
That was me saying 1 minute.
Gotcha.
But you had 1 minute left in the break
Well,
without interrupting you while you were talking.
I see a name that's very familiar over in the comments list.
Oh, okay. Hey, Silver. My granddaughter says hi. So, you know.
Silver with a Y is a great name.
It is. My daughter did well. But if you don't acknowledge her, she will yell at the screen over and over again until till I say hello, and now I've said hello. So we're good.
That's a very, if we're going to be real, that's a good quarterback name, man. That's a good quarterback name.
Well, she's going to be an awesome athlete. She already climbs. She looks at the basketball hoop, and of course she's only 2.5, so it's not happening. But she can do the little tykes thing. But we have a basketball court outside, and she always wants me to make a shot, which is not easy for me.
Oh, that's why we've got the little tykes practice rim in the studio now.
It is because her
slam on beating his granddaughter at horse.
All right, we're coming back.
Tweet at The Rob Brown Show on the Upstate Sports Leader, ESPN Upstate.
So Dabo Swinney has spoken out and addressed the Darian Kendrick situation for the first time following yesterday's practice, addressing the fact that the star quarterback is no longer with the team. Now, Kendrick has not, let me repeat that, Darian Kendrick has not entered the transfer portal yet, but according to sources, he will not be returning to Clemson. The Rock Hill native could either enter the NFL supplemental draft or transfer. Swinney said, quote, really not much to say about that other than he's not with us anymore, but also to say I love DK. Man, he's a young man that I've always loved as a football player. He's got a really good heart. He's never been a disrespectful young man or anything like that. Just sometimes there needs to be a change. Kendrick was a first-team All-ACC player last year after appearing in 9 games, 8 starts, signed with Clemson in the class of 2018 as a 5-star recruit from South Point High School in Rock Hill. Started his college career as a receiver before switching to defense in the spring of 2019. He earned second-team All-ACC honors that year and first-team All-ACC honors in 2020. Swinney said, quote, just so thankful I had the opportunity to help him and hopefully make a difference for him these past 2 years. Thankful for all of his contributions to our team and to our program. We'll be pulling for him whenever his next stop is and always be there for him, end quote. So Dabo doesn't really give us anything with those comments, Lonzo, which honestly is not surprising, and I appreciate the way that he handled that, to be honest with you, and I think that's the right way to handle it, right? Saying anything negative about the young guy doesn't help the situation. In fact, I would go so far as to say that there's only 2 outcomes for Dabo in commenting on the situation of Darian Kendrick. The first is to do exactly what he did and say nothing. There's no betterment for Dabo Swinney and Clemson in the situation. There's nothing that can be said to make the situation better. The only other option would have been for him to say anything that could even be construed as negative about Darian Kendrick, in which case the national media and every non-Dabo Swinney fan in the country is going to come out and say, look at him, he's attacking the kid. The kid decided not to be there, and Dabo's taking him down. This was the perfect way for Dabo to handle the situation, though, because anything else he said, he would have been absolutely piled on by fans and media outside of South Carolina. I think he handled this the best way he possibly could have, which is basically to say, look, we wish the kid well. Let's move on.
You know, another reason why you do this, why you come out and do it this way, is that way you don't have to deal with question after follow-up question after follow-up question. You're pretty much saying, hey, this is what it is, and this is how I'm answering. It's not quite the Bill Belichick method, but it's still, it's effective. And whatever he actually did, or the string of things that he actually did, you know, that's up to the team, what they do, and not everybody needs to know about that, I guess.
Yeah, there were those disciplinary issues that we talked about, caused them to miss a couple of games this year. But at the end of the day, he's not there anymore, right? I have this conversation with people more times in my life than I'd like to when, you know, let's say there's a relationship that gets severed. And even if it's an ugly breakup, here's the reality. Saying anything about your ex or that relationship that's been severed, if you're out there tweeting about these people without putting their name on it, talking bad about them without addressing them, at the end of the day, it only reflects on you and your personality and your character, right? If you have an issue with somebody and that relationship gets severed, when you go out there and you're talking and you're commenting about them and you're saying disparaging things about them and not attaching the name to it, just taking those shots at them, it only reflects on you and your character, nobody else. And I think Dabo Swinney recognizes that. There have been plenty of times where he said things about other schools. I'm looking at the Ohio State situation coming into the playoffs this year, and it came back to bite Dabo square on the backside. I think Dabo learned that lesson. I think it's frankly a lesson that all of us have to learn. When you go out there and you say things under your breath and you talk bad about another entity without addressing them directly, it reflects on you. It makes you look bad. It makes you look like the one that has an issue. And when you handle it that way, it's look, if you're a guy like Dabo, you're going to get piled on. Zoe, I think Dabo Swinney has learned that lesson a time or three, and I think this is the end result of that, personally.
At least in this situation, I agree with you, but he'll misstep eventually because he gets a little emotional at times and lashes out. Or maybe you're right. Maybe he has finally learned and he won't do it again, but he will. He will. And as far as the Ohio State thing, he didn't learn anything from that because he ain't back down from that. He has not said a thing that, I shouldn't have said that kind of thing. And good for him. Good for him. You said what you said, you deal with the consequences of it and move on. But as far as it comes to discipline and dismissing players, that's a totally different situation. And I think he's handling it the right way as from the information that we have.
Yeah, I do think he learned his lesson, Lonzo. I think he looked up at a scoreboard not too long ago and realized probably didn't need to give them any more ammunition.
So that woodshed, what's that look like?
Yeah, exactly. Specifically the back of it. All right, 844-GSP-ESPN, 844-477-3776. Text us, 71307. Join us on the stream. Facebook.com/ESPN Upstate, Twitter.com/The Rob Brown Show. Watch us live, interact, chat with us. We talk to y'all off the air during the break. If you're in there with us, we're back after this. Wrapping up the segment, by the way, at 1:20, the voice of the Greenville Swamp Rabbits, Matt Trust, joins us here on the show to talk about his experience with the Swamp Rabbits so far. That's coming up at 1:20. We got another segment in this hour. First, though, the Rob Brown Show rolls on. This is ESPN Upstate.
You're listening.
FYI, so I heard the start of the liner and then the music statement, not the liner. The liner runs in the same pot as the commercials, correct? And I can't hear you. Oh, you're doing a live read. Zoe's doing a live read. That's why you see him. See, he's over here talking to himself. What a good-looking guy, right? He's over there doing a live read. So when we, like I mentioned earlier, when we do the live reads, we don't do those on the internet. When Zoe is doing one, I can talk to you personally over here, and it does interact. When I'm doing one, Zoe can't talk because of the way the sound's all set up. So that's why you're occasionally going to see Lonzo over there talking to himself and me talking to you. To those of you that are joining us here on our StreamYard, I appreciate it very much, man. I like this new little tool we have going on. I think it's awesome. I love how interactive it is. I absolutely love that we can have side conversations and conversations in the break. Fantastic. Leave your comments, leave your thoughts, whether you're over on Facebook, whether you're over on Twitter, if you've joined me on my YouTube channel, wherever you might be watching. I appreciate it. Love to have you guys along for the ride. And again, if you have anything that you want us to talk about during the break, you can leave those comments and we will absolutely address them as they come up. So anyway, I like this new little tool. I like this new little resource that lets us interact with you guys on a completely different level than when we are just limited to what we can talk about on the air. So there you go. There you go. Leave us some comments. We'll chat about those while we're on break. Otherwise, I'm just going to sit here and stare awkwardly into my computer and not know what to talk about every single break.
Well, you should do that. That's fun. It's absolutely fun.
Yeah, and by the way, Matt Trust is the voice of the Swamp Rabbits. I mentioned this going out. He's going to be joining us at 1:20. You will be able to listen to that interview right here on the stream.
So hopefully in the future, when guests are lined up, since we now have this thing working, we can get the guests, if they're comfortable enough, to be on StreamYard for their interview, which will make it even cooler because you'll get to see the person who is talking. And since we've been working on trying to get this thing going, we finally got it going. I'm sure you didn't get a chance to talk to them about that. Not everybody's going to be comfortable with going on the stream, but those who are, it's going to be really cool, especially when we start getting some, hopefully, wrestling guests, because those on the stream would be so cool. And I'm efforting a couple of those, by the way.
Yes, I don't know if we have talked about it or if we can talk about it yet, Lonzo, but Zoe has told me some of the guests that are coming to the South Carolina Comic-Con, and suffice to say, kind of excited about it.
Yeah, I got connections, and in the past I've been able to get some of those guests on. So we're going to see what happens.
I love it.
I plan on talking to someone about that this evening, actually. So I'll let you know. So there are going to be moments of silence because there are a lot of behind-the-scene things that need to be done also. So that's just something that we got to deal with.
Yeah, I want to. I mean, I know that I could, if we can find it, Lonzo, and this is going to be fun. I need to probably pull some like royalty-free music that I could play during the break, so that there's sound going out when we don't have anything to talk about during breaks.
I like it better you just staring awkwardly at the screen, but that's just me.
Did you catch the not so veiled references that I was making in the last segment, by the way?
Absolutely, I did. You didn't see me laughing the entire time. Innuendo and subtlety it's a fine art. Not everyone can do it.
No, not at all. I picked up like 12 Twitter followers from doing this. I like it.
Cool.
Thanks to you guys that are joining us and hanging out with us now. I got a buddy down in Tallahassee, Zoe. This is pretty cool. He's got a split monitor set up at his office. So he's got us full screen on one monitor and he's working on the other. So he actually has us basically on TV while he's at work. That's pretty rad.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
If you happen to look over, I'm specifically talking to Rob's buddy, and you see Rob make a weird face. Hopefully you have the capabilities of snapping it and keeping that as your screensaver, because that's what I would do.
You know what we ought to do? Not today, but one day in the future. We ought to do a contest where we see who can get the weirdest screen grab of us while we're doing this one day.
That's a great idea.
Give away a prize. Whoever can get the weirdest screen cap of Lonzo and I while we're doing our stream. We got to have like a stack of T-shirts or something to give away, right?
I can neither confirm or deny without checking with the powers that be.
Perfect. Because I still don't have one.
The Rob Brown Show on the Upstate Sports Leader, ESPN Upstate.
Putting hour number one to bed right here on the Rob Brown Show. This is ESPN Upstate. Rob, Lonzo, and you. 844 GSP ESPN 844-477-3776 is the number. And again, live on our StreamYard platform. Go to facebook.com/ESPN Upstate. Click the play button. Go to twitter.com/ESPN the Rob Brown Show, and click the play button, and you can actually watch Lonzo and I do the show. Plus, more importantly, you can actually interact with us as you drop comments onto those different platforms. They populate here on our screen, and we can address them both on and off the air. Love to have you guys join us over on the StreamYard. So,
you know who I'd like to have join us eventually? That show for men. We'll see how long that takes.
You know what? I just thought we can actually make that happen. We can make that happen. We may have, you know what? We may very well have to do some cameos from the other show at some point in the very near future. You know what we ought to do? And I'm going to say this on air and completely ruin it. But when we get some of those guest interviews of professional wrestlers that we were talking about earlier, we should then get one and or both hosts of the shows for men, tell them we just want to have them on a regular segment and not tell them that they're about to go face-to-face with a guy who carries around a live animal in the ring as a prop. I'll just give that out as a little hint.
Yes. It's okay. We can get away with it. They weren't listening.
Oh, 100% they're not listening right now. 100%. All right, 1 hour in the back. Coming up at 1:20, Matt Truss, the voice of the Greenville Swamp Rabbits, joins us right here on the show. What's the weirdest sports souvenir you've ever heard of? Because a professional footballer, Hall of Famer, is auctioning off a weird one, and it's going for big money. I'll tell you all about that when we come back. I'm Rob Brown. Lonzo, back at the controls. Join us on the stream, Facebook.com/ESPN Upstate, Twitter.com/The Rob Brown Show. 2 hours left right here on The Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate.
ESPN Upstate, WYRD Greenville, WORD Spartanburg, W249TL Greenville, W246CV Spartanburg, WFPC-FM HD3 Greenville, Radio.com Sports Station.
AutomotiveMap.com presents
All right,
your
ESPN
Upstate Sports Center update powered by the Score. Daytona Speed Weeks will continue to be a
Lonzo, by the way, can you
schedule
see,
moving forward
you
the
can
way
see
it
the
was
comments
this
as they
year,
come in,
where
right?
it was.
Yeah, actually, I've been responding to some of them. Occasionally, it will be under the ESPN Upstate banner. Sorry, but
you
yeah.
can see them on the streaming screen, correct?
I can.
Sweet. Okay.
Daytona International
All right,
Speedway
I'm gonna run and
already
grab a
announcing
refreshment.
that
I
the
shall
Daytona
return very
500 will be February 20th, but they don't want to get into the first week of Speed Weeks going head-to-head with the lead-up to the Super Bowl. NASCAR set to run Las Vegas this weekend, a full weekend with the trucks on Friday, the Xfinity Series on Saturday.
So, just some insight while
Sunday.
Rob is doing that. I am
Download the
also
Score app today, lightning
going to have to be
fast
silent
sports
because
alerts, so
I
you never
am
miss
putting
a thing.
together
It's why
the first
Score
hour
app
of the
is one of
podcast,
North America's
which will be
most popular
posted in
sports
just
apps.
a moment.
With your ESPN Upstate Sports Center update, I'm Matt Pauley.
Have you heard the Rob Brown Show?
Do you want to say greatest of all time so far? That's fine. You can do that.
Tom Brady is the greatest of all time, ... so far. That's fine. I'll agree with that.
If you say so far, people get offended and get angry because they want you to know, no, you don't understand. This is the greatest of all time. He may be the greatest of your lifetime. That doesn't make him the greatest of all time.
I'm fine with that. Time is
Unless, of course, the world ends in the next year or so, and then you may be right.
floating through space. The last human being stares back down at the charred, crispy remains of what used to be planet Earth as his life systems repeatedly alarm him that he's running out of oxygen. He stares out the window at the giant ball of molten rock that used to be planet Earth, and he says to himself and no one else, Tom Brady was the greatest of all time.
Hey, Greenville, Spartanburg. Catch the Rob Brown Show weekdays noon to 3 on ESPN Upstate. ESPN Upstate, the home of the biggest games.
The Buccaneers have beaten the defending champion Chiefs 31-9.
And the best local sports talk show.
And we got a lot of great players in there.
My name is Rob Brown. Glad to have you along for the ride.
A lot of great players.
By the way, I have a lot of screens here, so a lot of things to do during the break. You get to see the mad scramble of me looking everywhere at once, which makes it really hard to do anything, just one thing.
The talk is real. There's more to come.
Very difficult.
ESPN Upstate. Warning.
And check this out.
For an official Rob Brown lockdown.
Represents being real. Yeah.
Real, unfiltered sports talk manufactured locally for the Carolinas.
Lockdown.
This is the Rob Brown Show.
Yeah.
Only on ESPN.
ESPN Upstate.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Our numero dos of the Rob Brown Show goes now. This is ESPN Upstate, 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg, all around the world on the radio.com app. Put it on all of your digital devices, your cell phone, your laptop, your tablet, your PC, heck, your gaming system. If you sit at home and work like I do here on the couch at the Casa de Love, and you can listen to the program around the clock, around the calendar. We make it easy for you. Plus, go to our website, espnupstate.com, espnupstate.com, and go to right there to the top. Not only do we have the most recent up-to-date sports news and info that impacts you as a South Carolina sports fan, but we also have the podcast section. You can download every show hour by hour as you wish to listen to on demand. That's right. Take us with you to the gym, while you're out for your daily jog, while you're waiting in line to pick up the kids, whatever it is that you might be doing out and about, take us with you and don't miss a minute of broadcasting, courtesy of our podcast section right there on ESPNUpstate.com. My word, it is good to have professional baseball back on the television. Yes, it's spring training. Spring training is like when you're at the bar and that good-looking stranger winks and nods at you from across the bar, right? Like, you know, there's a chance you're close to having a date with him. You know there's the potential there, but it's just that opening shot, just that little wink from across the bar. Doesn't mean anything. They didn't buy you a drink. They didn't say hello. They haven't approached you yet. But just that little opening wink, man, it's enough to get you excited. Spring baseball is on. So we've got our stream going, by the way. You can join us at facebook.com/ESPNUpstate. And you can join us at twitter.com/The Rob Brown Show. After the show is over today, I'm actually going to be working to where it's going to be going out on our YouTube platform. It's going to be going out on our Twitter platform. It's going to be going off everywhere. And you'll actually be able to listen from all of those platforms. But make sure you check it out and join us on the stream. Want to say hello to Will Flint, who is in there. Want to say hello to our buddy Keegan. P1 Keegan is joining us. Our buddy Raisin Kane has joined us in there. Craig. Oh gosh, Lonzo, I'm gonna let you take a stab at Craig's last name, who said in the stream, Lonzo, rocking the Batman shirt today. Kazmerzak? How's that sound to you, Lonzo? Greg Kazmerzak. Close?
I'm working my way back up to where that would actually be.
Oh, it's on the screen right now, because now when you send us comments
on
our stream, I can pop them right there up onto the screen and interact with them in real time. How about that?
I would go with
Kazmerzak.
But, he'll have to tell us how well we did.
Fair enough. Greg, I hope you got it close, but I appreciate the comments nonetheless. Let's see. Raisin Kane on the Twitter says, Rob's glasses make him look like a Devon Dudley, just missing the tape in the middle. I actually got these same frames today, as a matter of fact, in black. And yes, I actually will be able to wrap the white tape around the middle.
Devon! Get the tables!
I'm not saying that I'm going to Dudleyville with the Halloween costume this year, but I'm not saying that. All right? I'm not saying that.
As long as I'm not Bubba. Okay.
Why wouldn't you be?
Yeah, or Bully Ray.
Ray.
Because I have too much hair.
Only question is going to be, can I talk the lady friend into going as Stacy Keebler? We're going to find out. All right. Keegan asked on the chat in our stream, again, facebook.com/ESPNUpstate, have we covered Alabama going back to full capacity for college football this season? Yes, we did that back in the first hour, Keegan, but I'll do it again real quick since you asked. It's a nice thought. I hope they're right. Fingers crossed they're right. Because Lord knows I absolutely want to be able to go to a full Clemson game coming up this season. I absolutely want to be able to go to a full South Carolina game this upcoming season. I want to go to a full Furman game and a full Wofford game in the fall during football season. I want to be able to travel over to the ATL and go to a Tech game. I want to be able to travel down to Athens and go to a Georgia game. I want to get up to Chapel Hill and Duke and go see Carolina and Duke play in person. Yes, absolutely. But at the end of the day, like it or hate it, when it comes down to it, it's not about them. It's not about them. Look, Zoe, I'm going to say this. You know who else wants us to go to full capacity for college football this upcoming fall season? All of us. We all want that. Every one of us wants to go back to full capacity in the fall. But what we want and what ends up being allowed, and more importantly than allowed, right? Because I know that's where we kind of start to get into where people's political and philosophical views come into play. What we're allowed, quote unquote, to do is obviously a big misnomer to some degree, because a good chunk of it is what we're allowed to do, what the regulations v. legal obligations are of what we are and are allowed to do. What it comes down to, and this was the case last fall, if we have not reached the point where medical professionals say we have reached herd immunity against the coronavirus, it'll be in place this fall. What it comes down to is very, very simple. There is a liability issue that has to be answered for, right? I had a conversation with a bar owner who runs a bar down in my hometown in Florida. And this bar owner has been open, but doing limited capacity. He's only letting so many people into the bar at the same time. He's taken half of his tables out, so the bars are spread out. When he does live music, he only does it on his smaller outside patio deck, and he asks people to be spaced out there, etc. And I said, man, are you concerned about what happens if somebody catches the coronavirus in your bar and they can trace it back? And he said, dude, I don't think we can do that. I don't think we can do that, right? I don't think you can trace it back to one particular bar, one particular night if somebody catches it. And I think he's probably right? A lawyer is going to be able to say, wait a minute, this person was in your bar, yes, but they were also at a fast food place, and they were also at a grocery store, and they were also at the post office, and they were also here, and they were also there. You cannot definitively prove that they caught it at the bar. And I think he's probably accurate. But if you pack 100,000 people into Bryant-Denny Stadium, and there is an outbreak of 10,000 people who test positive for the coronavirus, all of whom are traced back to the football game, the liability issues for a college football organization are significantly higher than they are for a small local hometown bar or restaurant or place of business, right? And I think at the end of the day, what it comes down to is going to be, are those colleges willing to take on the liability in the face of, right? Because if there are dozens and dozens, hundreds, thousands, whatever, of epidemiologists and pandemic experts, etc., who are saying, nope, shouldn't be open, shouldn't be gathering in these numbers, shouldn't be doing it in an enclosed area, etc., etc., even if it's not illegal to do so. If that many epidemiologists, an overwhelming number of epidemiologists are coming out and saying we shouldn't be doing this, it's a threat, it will spread the virus goes out in a cluster at a football game, at that point, I think those folks, and I got my law school education from Law and Order, right? I got it from watching television. I admit I am an idiot. No one should listen to anything that I have to say ever. I am dumb. But I suspect that if there is a breakout that can be directly traced, remember there was that breakout here. I'll use an example of one that's already happened. When this whole thing started a little over a year ago, oh my God, how time flies. When this whole thing started over a year ago, there was a soccer game that took place in Italy. And they chased back a massive breakout of the disease to that soccer game. If they do that, and they are able to trace it back to a big breakout, and they do so in the face of a bunch of epidemiologists saying you shouldn't be gathering 100,000 strong in a football stadium, even if it is outdoors. The liability issues at that point for a University of Alabama or any other school that decides to go that direction, the liability issues explode. They explode because you would be able to trace it directly back, and those people would go. Now, they have some level of personal responsibility. I acknowledge that. They have some level of personal responsibility. They decided to go in the face of the epidemiologists as well. But we've all seen somebody get hurt at a water park because they slipped in a puddle of water and broke their leg, and they get awarded a payout because the water park was negligent because there wasn't supposed to be water there. Or we've all seen the stories of the burglar who broke into a business and fell through a roof because the roof wasn't up to code. And even though he was the one breaking into the place, he ends up getting awarded damages because the business didn't have their roof window up to code or whatever that story was from years ago. But at the end of the day, Zoe, to me, whether or not we have college football in full capacity in the fall, as much as it is based on the advice of medical professionals, it's also up to how much liability these schools are willing to take on in the case of a major breakout of the coronavirus in the fall if we don't reach herd immunity by that point.
This whole thing, as we've seen, is state by state. There are some states that are more open than other states. So if the state laws don't prohibit it in Alabama and the SEC doesn't step in, then Alabama is going to do this. They're going to go at full capacity. And as we talked about last hour, the thing is, in order to go to full capacity, we're going to have to go to full capacity. That's the only way you're going to know what's going to happen. Is there risk involved? Absolutely, there's risk involved. But until it's done, you're not going to know if it's going to work. And there's always going to be one expert out there saying don't do it, while another one says it's fine. And it depends on who they're willing to listen to. And it's going to be a school-by-school basis. It's going to be a state-by-state basis. And I don't know how much the SEC would step in to stop it if Alabama decides to go forward with it.
844-GSP-ESPN is the number. 844-GSP-ESPN. Text us 71307, 71307. Start your text with ESPN so we can read them on the air. Real quick, before we go to a break here, Lonzo, I've just received our buddy P1 Keegan just tweeted me my favorite sports story of the day, and that's saying something because I've got some good ones coming up for you. Former Ohio basketball player DJ Cooper has just been handed a suspension from FIBA, the Federal International Basketball Association, because he failed a drug test. Now, since 2018, Cooper has been playing for a squad called AS Monaco. He attempted to join the Bosnian national team as a naturalized player, but he never made it. And the reason why, and this story's a couple of months old, but I'm just stumbling across it for the first time, so I'm absolutely bringing it up. Apparently, he was asked to take a drug test, Lonzo, and he failed the drug test and was handed a 2-year suspension from FIBA for failing the drug test. Do you want to know why he failed the drug test? What was the result of his failed drug test, Lonzo?
I think we all want to know.
It's because the drug test revealed that DJ Cooper was pregnant. Oops. The test on the urine that Cooper provided revealed the presence of human chorionic gonadotropin, or HCG, which is a hormone made by the placenta during pregnancy. The urine, per the report, actually belonged to his girlfriend, who likely didn't know that she was pregnant at the time of the test. Cooper is eligible to return in June of this year as his test punishment was retroactive. Former Ohio Bobcat basketball star DJ Cooper suspended by FIFA because his drug urine test revealed that he ... / his girlfriend were pregnant. Lonzo. Oops. I've seen a lot of drugs do a lot of things, positive, negative, and everything in the middle to a lot of guys. Zoe, I have never seen a drug make a dude pregnant before.
I've heard tell that there's probably places that he could have gone and paid somebody for their urine and not had to worry about, said problem. But, now he understands to not do that.
Yeah, he screwed the proverbial peach there. All right, when we come back here in just a minute from right now, what is the weirdest sports souvenir that you have ever owned? An NFL Hall of Famer is auctioning off one that is going to top the list for some Steelers fans somewhere. What is it? I'll tell you when we come back at the Rob Brown Show. My name is Rob Brown. My man Zoe back at the board. You're listening to the Rob Brown Show right here on ESPN Upstate. Another segment in the books, y'all. Thanks to everybody joining us on the stream. We appreciate it. If you're not already following us on our social media, all of our social media is tagged at ESPN Upstate. So Facebook.com/ESPN Upstate, Twitter.com/ESPN Upstate, wherever you want to join. Glad to have you all along. And by the way, while we are on break, like the banner says at the bottom, leave your comments for us to discuss off the air. Anything goes. By the way, Zoe, I
don't know about anything. All right. That's pretty broad.
I am unafraid, Lonzo. I will take on all challenges.
Okay.
It's not smart, but it's brave. And the line between those two adjectives is very blurry sometimes.
Yeah, I would agree. Because I've seen texts.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Let's see. Will says, how long have you been growing your hair out, Lonzo? I've been growing mine out since I graduated from high school. I'm about to get my bachelor's now, so that would be around 4 years. If you had to put a length, like a measurable length of time, Lonzo, I know you get it cut every year. How long did? All right, let's rephrase that. Within your average length that you get it cut twice a year, how long did it take you to get to that point?
I am not on my average right now because I didn't get it cut this year. I usually get it cut in the spring, and I usually get it cut during Christmas vacation. So I usually cutting my hair is such an event that I schedule a vacation around it. Well, okay, so I do it on vacation, and the last time I did it, and then was right after, a little bit around this time last year, I think, at V's Barbershop. And then I just didn't again. Part of it was COVID protocols. Part of it was I just didn't want to get it cut. And it is almost as long as it's ever been. Probably
there's a massive difference between I schedule a vacation to get my hair cut and I get my hair cut while I'm on a scheduled vacation. Those are two very, very different phrases.
Yeah, that was being sarcastic. But no, by the way, I have a vacation scheduled in a couple weeks, and one of the things I plan to do is to get my hair cut. So, and it has to do with working so much and having enough time to actually go and get it done. It has nothing to do with laziness. Plus, there's no dress code here. And
as you can tell by the Millennium Falcon and Batman t-shirts.
That's right. And there's also the fact that all radio stations are required to have at least one hippie on staff. It is a national law. Look it up. I forget exactly what page in the national radio laws it is, but you look it up and it's there. And so I'm not the only one here right now, but the other hippie's in engineering, and that doesn't count. So it has to be someone who actually turns the mic on occasion.
Old T-Town Tony.
Whose hair wasn't long when he came here, and I would like to think that I was the inspiration. But,
You're the reason in his life. You're his inspiration.
You win Chicago, really?
Always go Chicago.
Wilson Phillips yesterday, Chicago today. What will we have tomorrow?
Thackus said, I go on vacation when I get a haircut because the tan line is so bad with my hairline that I need something.
Yeah, you got to work that out, man, because you don't want to get a spray tan or the rub-in tan because, inconsistency.
About 2 years ago, I had the hair down about ear level, and I went and I decided to get a dramatic haircut. So I went with like the high fade, like way up tight, like the jarhead look almost.
Yeah.
And when I did, I had just this like pale white wrap around my head from where my hair had been long. And I looked absolutely ridiculous for the better part of 2 weeks. It's the only time that I've used a tanning bed in my life was just to get my head to look like a normal human being's.
We have 30 seconds. When you were in the tanning bed, did you go full Monty? Because, you don't want lines anywhere.
I think you may have found one of the very few conversations that I'm like, I don't want to talk about this anymore. Doesn't happen very often.
Lucky for you, it's time to go back.
Good. It's not that I didn't want to talk about it. We just have to go back on air, kids. The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. This is ESPN Upstate 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg, all around the world on your radio.com apps. I completely forgot, Lonzo. We got to get Matt Trust on here. I'm going to message you his number because I blew that one. So hang on just a second. I'm going to send you that in a private message. I don't think Matt would appreciate us giving out his number over the air. So we're going to get Matt Trust on. Matt is the voice of the Greenville Swamp Rabbits. They have been absolutely killing it. Had a fantastic 3-game stand against the Allentown Americans last weekend, including a Saturday game that was enormous. I just sent you the number if you don't mind getting Matty and let me know when he's ready. So we'll get him on the air. 3-game stand. Took the first, lost the second. Of course, I'm bad luck at sports, y'all. I am bad luck at sports, unfortunately. I don't know why it is that this happens to me, but it always does. But if I get confident in a team, then they lose whatever game I start to get confident in. I did it against I did it for the Saints. The Saints-Bucks game was probably the first game all season long for the Saints that I actually felt relatively confident that the New Orleans Saints were going to end up winning. Of course, they lose. There have been about 6 games for the Pelicans this year that I'm like, oh man, this team's finally starting to play consistently. They're starting to play good basketball. I tune in and they lose. I did it last night. They were playing the Jazz, best record in the NBA. I tuned in and the Pels were up, I think, 12. And the next thing I know is I'm looking down at my screen, looking up, playing Call of Duty with the boys. I look back and the Jazz are down 2 with 3.5 left to play and all the momentum in the game. They did end up winning, but I'm just bad luck. Do we have Matt queued up there, Lonzo? Perfect. Let's go to the phone line and welcome in the voice of the Greenville Swamp Rabbits, Matt Trust. Joins us here on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. Matty Ice, how we feeling, big fella?
Hey, I am great, Rob. Great to hear the sound of your voice again.
My pleasure always, man. My pleasure always. Look, we're going to get into hockey here in just a second, but before we get into what you're seeing on the ice, let's talk about what you're seeing off of it. So I've been here, as a matter of fact, is the 1-year anniversary of me actually being on the air in Greenville for the very first time. You're a couple of months behind, working through your first season. just your thoughts on getting settled in, the team under new ownership, new management, etc., settling in as well. Just your thoughts on how you feel the Swamp Rabbits are adjusting to a new year, a new season, and how you've been settling in as one of the newest residents of the Greenville area.
Yeah, I'll tell you, this is a special city because it's remarkable how fast and how rapidly this city is growing, but also with that said, how it's still maintaining that sense of community and that sense of there's still a bit of everyone knows everyone around here, which is pretty cool and something that, I certainly identify with just based on where I'm from up in central PA. But, from a Swamp Rabbit standpoint, it's been awesome, with a new ownership group, a new coaching staff, our president, Todd Mackin, with Spire Sports and Spire Hockey South, and our coaching staff of Andrew Lord, Philip Barsky, all around. There's really a neat extension of what makes the Greenville community so special is extended into our dressing room as well. We have great players just on the ice, off the ice. They're great people, and there's just a really good culture here, and we're looking forward to seeing where it takes us.
Talk to me a little bit, real quick, if you don't mind, about the ownership. I got the chance to meet Todd a couple of weeks ago when he was here in town, but I paid attention to what Spire does with their other teams. I mean, they've got not one but two cars running in the NASCAR Top Series, etc. In fact, we saw the Swamp Rabbits logo on a car last year during a race, hoping that happens again this year. What can you tell us about that ownership group and the care and concern that they are putting in, not just to making the Swamp Rabbits a successful hockey team for Greenville, but really incorporating them and the ownership group into the culture of this area as a whole?
Well, it's great because the ownership group, they go by what they refer to as a tent philosophy, where we all fall under the same tent. And when one succeeds, we all succeed, and it was a really great night for our ownership a couple weeks back during the Daytona 500 when we had two top 10 finishes out of our 7 and 77 car. That's great for us. And, we share our success with not only what we do on the ice, but our sister team. We have another team in the ECHL that falls under the same group in the Rapid City Rush, which, funny enough, we're actually playing against Rapid City. We have a 3-game set coming up in South Dakota this weekend where it'll be kind of like a friendly little team against team within the same group competition that we're looking forward to. But, I think that's something that really makes it special here is the fact that whether it's motorsports, whether it's a team out in Rapid City, whether it's a team that is right here in Greenville, we all have the common goal and we all try to succeed together as one unit.
We're talking with Matt Truss. He is the voice of the Greenville Swamp Rabbits. All right, let's go on the ice. You guys had a 3-game series this past weekend with the Americans of Allen out of Texas. Took 2 of the 3. The Thursday night game was a dub. The Friday night game, Allen played probably the best hockey I've seen them play in my limited experience. But Saturday night, Matt, I'm actually bummed out. That was the one game I ended up not being able to make it to. And from what I've heard, we'll talk off the ice about the environment first. From what I've heard, Saturday night was a tremendous night at the Well.
Yeah, largest crowd of the season. And, it's interesting. So Allen entering on Saturday night, they had a record of when they scored the game's first goal, they have a record of 12-1 on the season. So a big key to being successful against the Americans this past weekend was getting out in front early on. And gave up a goal about 25 seconds into the game. One of their players, Les Lancaster, scored to put Allen up 1-0. But we really got to see on full display the resiliency and the strong character that the Swamp Rabbits have, scoring 3 times to respond just in that first period alone and take a 3-1 lead into the dressing room, put the hammer down, eventually win the game by a 6-4 score, only handing Allen their second loss of the season when they do score the game's first goal. So it was a great night from a resiliency standpoint. The special teams performed exceptionally well with 3 power play goals. That's in an area where I thought Greenville was perhaps their best last weekend as well. That was a big part of getting 2 out of 3 games and 4 to 6 points on the weekend.
Talking with Matt Truss. He's the voice of the Greenville Swamp Rabbits here on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. I got the chance to speak with Lordo over the weekend and talk a little hockey with him. And one of the things that he pointed out was that the attitude of this team, the emotion of this team, he said he's actually feeling it change. The team has started to gel. The guys that have bought in are starting to take on those leadership roles and really starting to be a little bit more vocal. And he said he felt like that was translating onto the ice and that this team was, they just looked more like a team, certainly had better chemistry, etc. Have you noticed that through your interaction with Lordo, your interaction with the team, and calling this squad in game?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you can tell just from a bird's eye view that this is a tight-knit group, and they're a group of players that go to war with each other, and they're certainly quick to stand up for one another on the ice. And those are all keys to having a good team that's just close-knit, that is willing to, again, just go to battle for one another. It's certainly noticeable, and I think it really improves just the overall fan experience as well when you're able to go to a game and you're able to watch a team perform with that type of mentality. For someone that still might be relatively new to the sport, just watching that and seeing it firsthand, it's pretty inspiring, and it's something that regardless of what sport you play, whether it's baseball, football, basketball, whatever it is across the board, when you see that type of unity on the ice and that mentality of team first is pretty present, it's something that I think you can certainly take with you.
Talking with Matt Truss, the voice of the Greenville Swamp Rabbits, right here on ESPN Upstate. Talk to me, if you will, about the style of play that you're seeing out of this team. I mean, hockey to me never gets enough credit for all the different ways the game can be attacked. We have seen teams that are made up of bruisers that just want to hit and hit and hit until they wear you down and you start playing worse defense. We have seen teams that are a speed and finesse team. They don't want to get into a lot of physical confrontation. They want to skate around you, make you play catch and chase. There are so many different styles of hockey that can be played. What would you say is the definition of the style of play that Andrew Lord has brought to this team?
Yeah, what's really fun about our team is that there's a nice blend, right? You have certain players, like I think of guys like Karch Bachman, one that was just called up to the American Hockey League, and Greg Morales, where their skating ability for me really stands out. I feel like every time the puck is on Karch Bachman's stick, he turns on the jets and he can go down the ice like his pants are on fire, and generating your offensive attack out of that is certainly something that we've seen, but also a team that is just strong along the boards, and they can maintain possession in the offensive zone, really possess, win puck battles, win those 50-50 battles beneath the dots. I think a big part of just the success of the Swamp Rabbits is being able to take care of the puck in all three zones, and just that's a big part of their identity.
Matt Truss, voice of the Greenville Swamp Rabbits, joining us here on the Rob Brown Show. So now the team's on a road. He headed up to Rapid City, South Dakota. We obviously know what it's like, or at least have an idea of what it's like when the big franchise teams, the NHL teams, MLB, NFL teams, when they go on the road for a weekend. But this is a long trip from Greenville up to South Dakota. And unfortunately, fair or not, these athletes aren't necessarily going to have all of the luxuries that, the Chicago Blackhawks might get when they go on the road down to Florida. That type of road trip, when you got to go that far away for that long for a 3-game series, how does a team like the Greenville Swamp Rabbits attack not just the 3 games they're going to play against the Rapid, but on top of that, the wear and tear from that long of a road trip?
Yeah, it's a good question. To be honest, I don't think it's anything out of the ordinary for what the team has already experienced this season when it comes to a similar 3-game set where they were out in Indianapolis a couple weeks back playing the Indy Fuel in a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, which is what they have coming up this week. So the 3-3 stretches on the road are certainly out of the ordinary. So I think when it comes to the Swamp Rabbits, the mentality that has been preached out of head coach Andrew Lord has been, one game at a time, just being focused on what you can do today. And when tomorrow comes, you focus on tomorrow. I know Lord, just from talking to him, isn't too much of a big picture kind of guy. And he's very zeroed in and zoned in on the task at hand. So I expect next weekend to be no different, and with the quick turnaround each night, when you win a game, it's great, to celebrate it, but you also have to move on pretty quickly. And this thing goes where if you lose a game, you have to be able to move on quick and focus on the next night.
By the way, I wanted to ask you, as we obviously, Andrew Lord, first season here with the Swamp Rabbits, still getting to know the guy. When I talked to him and a couple of members of the front office staff this weekend, one of the things they told me about Lordo is that he's the dude that's up at 4 a.m. He's in the facility at the gym at 4:30. He does a full workout on his own. Then he meets the team at 6:30 and does another full workout with those guys afterwards. That is a level of dedication to success, both on his own personal level and professional level, that I think we can all appreciate. How much hard work does a guy like Andrew Lord put in, and how does that translate to the way that the guys that are playing for him want to follow that example?
He's unbelievable, just the work ethic, the type of person he is, the type of person that you want to work with and go to battle with. And that's the type of role model, honestly, that I think any player needs in their life. And I would even go further and say any front office employee, could really use a role model like that in their life. When you look at the hours that he puts in and just the drive and the focus, there's someone that knows what he wants. And it's fun to work with. It's really fun to go to the rink every day with him and just see him in action. And he's one that, certainly you cheer for and you want to see him succeed. And, when he succeeds, we all succeed, because at the end of the day, he's one of our top guys. He's our head coach, also director of hockey operations. And I think also on top of that, just the fact that he's not far removed from his playing career whatsoever. We have a player on our team in Jesse Schultz, 38 years of age, that is still, by the way, putting up tremendous numbers in this league. The last 3 seasons he played for the Cincinnati Cyclones and was better than a point per game player. He's older than our head coach, but it's interesting in a sense that, regardless of what your age is, Lordo's a guy that can certainly relate to you as a player. There's the relatability aspect, and he's one that you just want to learn from no matter where you are in your career.
Matt Truss is the voice of the Greenville Swamp Rabbits, joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN. Say, all right, Matty, real quick preview. What are you expecting to see out of this team and their 3-game stand-up in South Dakota?
Well, I'm hoping they stick to their identity, which is playing with good structure, taking care of the puck in all 3 zones, winning the special teams battle, which I think was a big part of 2 out of 3, or taking 2 out of 3 against Allen. So I think if we see the Rabbits do those things well, then I'm hoping it's going to be a fun weekend in South Dakota.
Love it. Matt Truss, voice of the Greenville Swamp Rabbits, joining us right here on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. Matty, man, always appreciate your time. I'm glad you guys are not just settling in, but with a really good hockey team. You can see and tell the level of concern that you guys have as a team, as an organization, to giving the best product possible and really ingraining yourself to the Upstate, which I, as another transplant, fully respect and appreciate, man. Appreciate your time as always, buddy. And we'll have a good series this weekend. Get back to it next week, man.
For sure. Looking forward to it. And more great promotional nights coming up for the Swamp Rabbits too. Some fun events in addition to the game itself for the entire family that we're looking forward to. So as always, swamprabbits.com for more information. Check out our new promotional schedule on there. We have some fun Saturday nights coming up at the Well throughout the month of March. So we're looking forward to it.
Look at my guy laying the promo down at the end. I love it. Matt, we'll talk to you soon, big dog. Thank you as always.
Sounds good. Looking forward to it.
You know it. Matt Truss, voice of the Greenville Swamp Rabbits. Let's take a break. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show. This is ESPN Upstate. There you go, Matty Truss. Did you hear Matt drop the promo in right there at the end too, man? Guy's got sales in his blood. You got to love it. Good for him. I love those guys. The Swamp Rabbits have been incredible from the day I got here. And obviously, they've had a lot of front office turnover, new ownership, Inspire Sports, new head coach in Andrew Lord. Those guys have been great. The Triumph and the Swamp Rabbits both have been phenomenal to work with from the day I got here. In fact, the Chris Lewis and the gang over with the Triumph were the first folks, the first organization from the area to reach out to me after I got announced on as the host of the show. They called me, what can we do? What do you need? How can we get involved? And look, man, I've had a lot of people when I've talked about this that are cynical. Oh, of course they do. They're trying to promote. Yes, of course they're trying to promote themselves. But Zoe, that's what I love about these guys is they understand that to be part of a community, it's not just about saying, oh, we love Greenville. You got to put yourself out there and get yourself involved and be a part of the community. It's what we try to do here on the show. The Swamp Rabbits recognize that. I think the Triumph recognize that. I think the Drive recognize that. And that's why I've been saying time and time again since I got here, we are crazy lucky to have not just professional sports, but professional organizations that go above and beyond to really make themselves a part of the community.
Yeah, and reaching out is one thing, but getting having a relationship with these people, which you are starting to do, and becoming friends with some, that's something that they don't have to do, and they're absolutely doing that. Great organizations. I got to admit that I haven't been able to get out to a hockey game, soccer game. You're still going to have to work on me. I've been to hockey early on when a long time ago when Greenville first got the hockey team, which was the Growl. Was able to go to those games, but I haven't been to any Swamp Rabbit games because all I do is work.
I got to tell you, the work gets in the way of a good social life, doesn't it?
It does. But with the schedule change, that makes things a little more available for me. So you never know.
I got to tell you, he was talking about the promotional nights that they are having. They've got a few coming up. I think it's next weekend. They're doing a women in sports night, and they're having women who are involved in the different sports organizations around here join for like an open conference kind of thing, Q&A session, which is great. But Zoe, they are also doing a DC Comics night and a Marvel Comics night coming up. Two games, one for DC, one for Marvel in the next few weeks. And I don't think I'm going to have to twist your arm that much to get you to come to a DC Comics night.
They've done this in the past. And I always wanted to go because usually, and we'll see if they do it this time, they have some cool looking jerseys that are comic book related. And, trying to get your hand on one of those, I would love to find a way to, I think they did Captain America in the past, which looked really cool, and a couple other things. Yeah. That it's not necessary to get me to go for something like that, but it's definitely an incentive.
It doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, my team back in Pensacola did Iron Man jerseys a few years back, and I tried my best to get one of them. I loved them, but I know the Swamp Rabbits have done Captain America jerseys. I'm scrolling back to see if I can find the list of their promotional nights that are coming up very soon, because I know they've got a bunch of, and it's not just those three. There's a bunch. Here it is right here. Let's see. They've got, and of course I click on the wrong one. Anyway, they got a bunch of them coming up that I'm super excited
30
about.
seconds. I'm pretty sure. I'm not positive. They just had a magic night, or they're going to have a magic. It was like a Harry Potter
Saturday
thing.
night was Wizard night.
That's what it was. Yeah, I knew it was something like that.
They are also doing, and I'm going to bring this one up on air, they're doing a Nickelodeon night, a Nicktoons night. The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. This is ESPN Upstate. Rob Lonzo and you. Join us, 844-GSP, ESPN, 844-477-3776. Text us at 71307. Thanks again to Matt Trust of the Greenville Swamp Rabbits for joining us in that last segment. We were talking to Zoe off the air, which you can participate if you join us on our stream. Go to facebook.com/ESPN Upstate, facebook.com/ESPN ESPN Upstate or twitter.com/The Rob Brown Show. And you can actually watch us do the show live and interact with us during the break. Zoe and I were having a conversation during that last break. We were talking with Matt about some of the promotional nights that the Swamp Rabbits have coming up very soon. On March 13th, they are doing Women in Sports Night. That is going to include a panel of some of the women in our area who are involved in professional and collegiate sports activities doing a Q&A conference, which I think is great. March 20th, Shamrocks and Shenanigans Night, St. Patrick's Day Night. March 27th, put it on the calendar, Lonzo. March 27th is DC Comics Night. April 25th is Nickelodeon Slime Sunday. And I have learned through the Swamp Rabbits, Lonzo, that there are at least a few listeners who have reached out to the Greenville Swamp Rabbits and asked them to slime me at their Nick Slime Day Sunday promotional game and to bring me out and to get me slimed during the game. Cool. Thanks, listeners. I appreciate that greatly. And the best part is,
wow.
I don't know if they're listeners who like me or hate me, and it doesn't matter to me at all.
You're acting like it's not an honor to be slimed. Who doesn't want to get slimed?
I would do it in a heartbeat. I have to pretend that I don't like it for the sake of promotion. I have to pretend like it's going to be a miserable experience. I would love to make that happen. Absolutely.
Although it's cold on the ice and getting some slime out there near it, it might be a little, I don't know.
It just ends up being a slime cube that knocks me out on the ice. May 1st is Stick It to Cancer Night. They'll be honoring cancer fighters and survivors that night. And then May 28th is Military Appreciation Night / Marvel Comics Night. That one's going to be on May 28th. You can get your tickets at swamprabbits.com. I'm not going to say that the great one Lonzo will be joining me for DC Comics and or Marvel Comics Night, but I'm not going to say that, Lonzo.
That's a good move on your part, because I could and then I could not. So I guess we will see, or we won't.
Quick break. When we come back, the weirdest sports souvenir that you own and how you might be able to add to that collection coming up in an auction by an NFL Hall of Famer. That's next on The Rob Brown Show. This is ESPN Upstate. Nickelodeon Slime Night. I mean, like, you get to consider yourself a celebrity if you get slimed, right? I gotta think so. By the way, if you leave us comments during the break, like I mentioned earlier, you see the big man Zoe there talking to himself. He's doing a live endorsement right now. We can't play those over the internet. So whenever we do those, and I have to do a couple of I get to do a couple of show, when you see us go and one of us is just talking to ourselves, so no audio coming across, that's going to be what it is. While we're on break, you guys are welcome to leave your comments for us to discuss off the air. Anything goes, as you see on the little banner down there at the bottom of the screen. So you got any questions or comments you want us to get to and get to them off the air, now is your opportunity. I do have the accumulated feed here that shows up that we can respond to. And thanks to all of you guys who are watching, whether you're watching it here with us live or you're watching this at some point in the future. Hello from past Rob. We appreciate you being willing to get involved. We're going to try to make this thing where we get look, I would love for this stream to get to a point where we've got, dozens or hundreds or thousands or dare I say millions of people joining us and just turn this into its own little, its own separate little party during the show. We're trying to decide if this is something we want to do all 3 hours every single day, or if it's something we just want to do a segment here and a segment there. You guys let us know in the comments, whether you're watching live or you're watching this at some point in the future. Drop a comment. Let us know. Would you prefer us to do this? I mean, is it worth it for us to do it all 3 hours every day? Do you think it would be better if we just did it in short little segments? What are your thoughts on that? Leave it in the comments, and we'll circle back around to those at a point in the future. Lonzo was doing math in his head right there. That's what that was. All right, we got a few text on the text line. And by the way, if you are watching on a stream, you don't need to text. You can literally just drop it here in the chat, and we can respond to it that way.
Hey, basketball fans, it's time to join the fun of the Eagles SoCon Mascot Challenge. When you head to eagles-markets.com, you can watch the hilarious mascots of the Southern Conference battle it out to see who can take home the title. The winner receives $1,000 to their school's General Scholarship Fund. Plus, Eagles will donate another $1,000 to Hoops Against Hunger. The Eagles SoCon Mascot Challenge. Voting is open now at eagles-markets.com. Miami Heat star Duncan Robinson knows a thing or two about being on the roof. From beginning his college career at a Detroit liberal arts school to starting in last year's NBA Finals. Now, on his new contract.
This is the weird part. I got to figure out what to do during breaks so you guys aren't just staring at me looking at my show prep, setting up the next segment in the silence. It's weird. And there's Zoe creeping back in. I don't know. Do we play audio during the breaks, or do we just kind of hang out and stare awkwardly? Zoe votes that we stare awkwardly.
The problem with playing audio, I mean, you need to find out what legally you can do.
Well, I would assume that anything we pull off of the usual show prep sites would be game, right? If we can play them on the air, I imagine we can play them over an internet stream.
Let me echo management in saying that we never make assumptions, that we, verify before,
I need you to go put on a suit and tie before you speak to me like that.
It's an amazing transformation when I do that. It really is.
It is rare.
There are some people that are just too beautiful when they dress up. I would be one of those people.
Just
so
overwhelming us with handsomeness. The stream couldn't handle it.
So on those comics nights, do they encourage people to dress up?
Oh yeah, it's a. I don't want to say it's quite a full con night, but last week they had a bunch of people, or last Saturday for Wizard Night, which was Harry Potter night. They asked people to dress up. They had a huge banner hanging. I don't know what's it called, a lithograph of Hogwarts, and they were letting people come and take pictures, and they had the mascot taking pictures with it and stuff. It was pretty cool. I saw the pictures of it after.
So if you had to scrounge together a superhero costume to like say in the next 2 hours you had to be somewhere and you absolutely had to dress up as a superhero, could you do that?
It wouldn't look great, but I have a Captain America hoodie that comes over the head and has the eye hole, so it's the full Captain America helmet.
Nice.
I could pull that off. I also have one of those for Wolverine, but it's the classic blue and yellow Wolverine, and it's got the blue horns up on top of the hood as well.
Yeah, you're too tall for that.
I would. I'm not a great Wolverine. Also, I have found that if you wear those in public, women will not talk to you. So there's that. Rob Brown Show rolls on, wrapping up our numero dos right here on ESPN Upstate. I am Rob Brown. Lonzo is back at the helm. 844-GSP ESPN's the number. Join us on the stream. Go to facebook.com/ESPN Upstate. Click on the watch button or go to twitter.com/The Rob Brown Show. I got it up there as well. You can actually participate in the stream, watch Lonzo and I do the stream, interact with us during the breaks, up to and including dropping comments in the chat that we can react to. If you've ever wanted to talk to Lonzo and I off the air, this is your opportunity. We have full discussions off the air. We address the comments that listeners are leaving for us during our time off the air. So if you've ever wanted to get to know Zoe and I behind the scenes, join us on the stream. Those comments get popped up and you can actually interact and chat with us during the breaks. One of the other things that we're going to do on this stream very soon, and I'm pretty excited about it, we'll actually be able to invite you guys to act as guests as well. You'll be able to come on. We will start off the air just to see if we can trust you. But we'll actually be able to invite you guys to join us and come on the air with us and chat with us that way, which I'm pretty excited about. All right, 844-GSP-ESPN, 844-477-3776. Text us 71307. I promise you, Scouts Honor, we're going to do that weird souvenir discussion when we come back to open up hour number 3. I am Rob Brown. Lonzo's in control, the symphony of sound. He is the conductor, the alpha and the omega of Sports Talk Radio. We are back for 1 hour after this. It's the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
Threw you off there. My bad.
Do what?
Said my symphony thing, my baton thing, I think threw you off there for a moment.
I was trying to figure out what you were doing before I realized that you were conducting the symphony of sound. Lonzo Ball, 23.7 boards, 8 assists, a pair of blocks, no turnovers, shot 56% from the floor, 60% from the three-point line as the Pelicans knocked off the NBA-leading Utah Jazz. That's what you get. Give us our name back, you jerks. There's no Jazz in Utah, Lonzo. I've been there. There's no Jazz. Why are you still the Jazz?
It's all Karl Malone's fault.
It's all Karl Malone's fault.
So this is some inside here, but we'll do it anyway. I told you this is the most difficult part in doing the live stream is the in-between things.
Oh, yeah.
But we have so many possibilities. We'll come up with more ideas of things to do in between because when you do it, if you do it for the entire 3 hours, then the show never ends.
That is factually correct. One thing we do need to do is we need to synchronize being able to send the link to the stream to like spread it around. Once I go live, right now it makes the post on the ESPN Upstate Facebook page, my Twitter page, and my YouTube channel.
Your unofficial Rob Brown Lockdown.
Everybody's Twitter feed, everybody's
Video,
Facebook page.
unfiltered sports talk, manufactured locally for the Carolinas. This is the Rob Brown Show.
Yeah.
Only on ESPN.
ESPN Upstate.
Hour number 3 of the Rob Brown Show goes now. This is ESPN Upstate, 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg, all around the world on the radio.com app. What up? Upstate South Carolina, and now with our brand new streaming toy. What up, everybody in the world? So far, I know, Zoe, that our stream, available at facebook.com/ESPN Upstate, available at twitter.com/The Rob Brown Show, and available on The Rob Brown Show on YouTube. And we will be expanding that platform base coming up after the show today. So tomorrow, it'll be available on every Twitter and Facebook page we have a connection to. I know for a fact, Zoe, that we have been listened to so far in the great state of Georgia. We have been listened to in the sunshine state of Florida. I know that we have now been listened to in La Jolla, California. I know that we have been listened to in Germany so far. I had a buddy of mine from the frat days who has checked in from Germany on the stream. I know that we have been listened to in North Carolina. I know that we have been listened to by my friends John and Willie down in Mexico. So, Zoe, I love to say it. We are officially taking the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate international, my friends. We are around the world literally at this point.
So, as Titus O'Neil would say, we are worldwide.
Worldwide! Yes, indeed. For those of you who are tuning into the stream for the first time, welcome. We're very grateful to have you along for the ride. Facebook.com/ESPN Upstate, Twitter.com/The Rob Brown Show, on YouTube at The Rob Brown Show. Follow us all. And every time we go live, you'll be able to join us. We'll be doing these streams both on the air, and we'll be doing some off the air streams as well. So you're going to want to make sure you're following us on those social media pages, because you never know when Rob and Lonzo and Mark and Diesel are going to pop up to be discussing random things. By the way, I've also been playing with some other stuff. One of the cool things that I'm very excited about is that while we do this show, we are going to be able to do things like bring up video, bring up pictures, actually do analysis of different things, etc. Really, really excited about it and all the possibilities that it brings. Plus, again, those of you who are just joining us on the stream, as those numbers have popped up in the last couple of minutes, anywhere that you are watching, whether it's on Facebook, whether it's on Twitter, whether it's on YouTube, anywhere that you are watching the stream from, if you leave a comment for us, it actually populates on our stream that we are watching here. Me at the Casa de Love, Lonzo back in the palatial ESPN Upstate studios. It actually pops up on the screen for us so we can read and interact with those chats, not just while we're on the air, but during breaks as well. So if you have wanted to interact with Lonzo and I off the air, you got any questions, comments, concerns, considerations, or the like that you want us to address, leave those comments on whatever platform you happen to be watching from, and we actually can address those off the air and have full conversations with you off the air as well. 844-GSP-ESPN. I accidentally left the stream for a second.
It's all right. It was just me, and I was getting ready to jump in there. I want to, Adam sends a shout out to me for playing Humans Being by Van Halen. By the way, if you like or dislike what we're playing for bumper, let us know on the Facebook page. It won't affect what I do, but I still want to know.
All right, I wanted to get into this story a little bit earlier in the show, but I'll get to it now. What the heck? Why not? So, Pittsburgh Steelers Hall of Fame linebacker Jack Lambert is auctioning off some of his personal football collection, according to the Pittsburgh Tribune Review. Jack Lambert has an entire lot of football memorabilia that is going up for auction. Some of the items include an autographed game-worn helmet from the 1976 Pro Bowl. That one right now is going for $7,320. A game-worn jersey from another Pro Bowl appearance. That has a high bid of $3,630. And there's a collection of other stuff that is going live in this auction as well that I find very, very interesting. The game ball from Super Bowl XIV when Lambert intercepted a pass in the fourth quarter to help seal the Steelers' 31-19 victory over the Rams. That's pretty rad, Lonzo. You can have the game ball that Lambert picked off in the fourth quarter to seal a Super Bowl. We're going to talk about weird memorabilia here in a second, but I got to tell you, man, if I could get a game ball from the game that my New Orleans Saints won a Super Bowl, I got to tell you, that would go right to the top of the memorabilia collection, no doubt about it. An autographed game ball from the AFC Championship game against Oakland following the 75 season when Lambert had 3 fumble recoveries. Trophies from when Lambert was named to the Steelers' 50th anniversary team and the NFL's 75th anniversary team. Lambert's Letterman's jacket from Kent State is up for grabs as well. Those are some of the big-time items that you can bid on. But here is my favorite piece of the memorabilia, Lonzo. Lot 590 of the Leland's Spring Classic Collection includes, and I quote, the container that held Lambert's false teeth while he was playing football. And of course, he'll autograph it for you. You know, you got to make it personal. It's got to be a personal touch. You can have the container that Jack Lambert, NFL Hall of Fame linebacker, would take his missing front 2 teeth out, put them into this container. A light blue plastic container has 58 in bold black marker on the top and on the front. On one side, Jack has written teeth holder in locker, and on the other side, he is signed and inscribed with his number 58 and Hall of Fame 90 in black Sharpie. And the quote ends, Lonzo, with the words, teeth not included, end quote.
You know, when you were a little kid and you visited your grandparents' house and you went into their bathroom because the other bathroom wasn't available, and you saw that jar and it had teeth in it, did you ever think that you would pay money for that from some famous person? I just I don't know. I don't know. That's pretty gross. It's also kind of cool, but it's still pretty gross.
I said the same thing. It is simultaneously weird, gross, and also, if I owned it, it would absolutely be prominently displayed on the floating shelves that I have installed here at the Casa de Love.
Because it's a conversation piece. And as soon as someone sees it, it's going to stand out, and they're going to be like, oh, what is that? And then you can talk about it for a little bit. And hopefully, if it makes someone uncomfortable, you might be a person who relishes in that. I may or may not be one of those people. So I probably would like to have that conversation. Or having said memorabilia would just drive my wife crazy. So all the more reason to get it.
Honey, I know you don't like it, and I'm very sorry that it upsets you. But I need to display the 50-year-old container that used to hold the teeth of NFL Hall of Fame linebacker Jack Lambert in his locker during games in his Steelers days. It's not up for debate. It's not up for discussion. Jack Lambert's false teeth holder are going to be displayed in this house, whether you like it or not.
Well, I think the bigger question would be, okay, how much does it cost? And that would probably be the problem there, because I'm guessing it costs, out of the range, whatever the range is to pay for said teeth holder. I think, it's probably too much.
The opening bid of the items which are being bid right now, I do not have a current bid on it yet. I'm going to see if I can get to it. The opening bid for the tooth holder, Lonzo, yes, that's a word that I just said. $590. The opening bid, $300. The current bid right now, is $330 right now. $330 is the current bid. I got to tell you, Zoe, there is a part of me that wants to start a listener GoFundMe for us to win Jack Lambert's front teeth holder and make it the prominent piece of memorabilia displayed in the ESPN Upstate Studios. I want to put it right there, Lonzo, right over the top of your right shoulder. I want to take everything else off of that wall. I want to take the ESPN Upstate banner down. I want to take our NCAA radio sign down from when we covered March Madness. I want to take all of that down. I want to remove it. I want to put one floating shelf, and I want to post on top of that shelf Jack Lambert's front teeth holder. It's only a $350 bid right now. So I ask you, listening audience of ESPN Upstate, are you willing to go in, split with me and Zoe, to acquire the most ridiculous random piece of sports talk memorabilia that I have ever heard of in my entire life? I gotta think people will help us out on that, right?
Absolutely. And then my mind goes somewhere else, wondering if engineering has the capability of creating and highlighting a hologram of teeth to go inside the jar.
We have had one texter text in and said he would go in if he would be allowed to put his own missing teeth into the container.
Hey, nobody's going to know whose teeth it is. Why not?
I got to tell you, Lonzo, I'm missing the bottom half of my teeth. I would put the bottom half of my front teeth in that bad boy as well. I'd be fine with it. My teeth shared a space with Jack Lambert's teeth. And now that I say that sentence out loud, it sounds really weird, actually. At ESPN, put me down for $20. We are well on our way. I'll throw in $100. Are you kidding me? I'll throw in $100 if we collectively want to go in and win Jack Lambert's teeth holder from his Pittsburgh Steelers locker. The Hall of Famer has, he's autographed it, Lonzo. He's autographed his tooth holder from back in the day. It is light blue, a 58 written on the top and on the side. Jack Lambert, number 58, HOF 1990, prominently displayed on the side. On the other side, Jack Lambert has written the words, teeth holder in locker, quote unquote, all in Sharpie. So I got to tell you, man, I think we put together the ESPN Upstate GoFundMe to buy Jack Lambert's missing teeth holder.
All right, so I'm willing to put in 50 because I have a personal connection to this. Because back in high school, because back when I was really blonde, and this wasn't soon after when Lambert's heydays were, that's what they called me on the football team. And they tried to get me to grow that mustache. And no, I wasn't missing teeth, but they tried to get me to grow that mustache. But at the time, I could only grow just the milk thing, so I couldn't get it to go all the way down my face, or I would have done it. So because of that, I'm willing to put in 50 on that.
All right, so I'm in for $100. Zoe's in for 50. We've got two texters that have said so far that they are in for 20. Zoe, we are approaching the $200 mark, and we just barely started talking about this. I'm thinking we create the GoFundMe to buy Jack Lambert's missing tooth holder.
You know, here's the other thing. I think that Show for Men also should invest in this because it's something to enhance the atmosphere here in the studio. So I think that Show for Men should also match what you and I are willing to put up.
I mean, there wasn't a man more manly than Jack Lambert. Jack
Absolutely.
Lambert's missing teeth could be the official mascot of the Show for Men here on ESPN Upstate. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. All right, 844-GSP-ESPN, 844-477-3776. Text us, 71307. Start your text with ESPN. We just got another texter who said they are in for $20 as well. I would do this. I would go so far as to say if we were to do this, Lonzo, and I may very well have a talk with the boss after this to ask if he would allow us to do this, a crowd-funded purchase of Jack Lambert's missing tooth holder. I would go so far.
I was going to say, unfortunately, with the way things are today, everything has to go up the ladder. And this is something timely that we need to find out quickly if we can do this.
I might very well ask today. I mean that. And if we do it, here's what I'm going to do if we can pull this off. I'm going to install a floating shelf in the ESPN Upstate studios where you will be able to look at Jack Lambert's missing teeth holder right there on our stream every day. And under that, I am going to put a piece of wood on the wall in which I will inscribe the name of every listener who donates to this fund. I will inscribe the name of every listener who donates to the Buy Jack Lambert's Missing Tooth Holder Contribution Fund.
Wow, this has to happen. Absolutely has to happen. We got to win this.
So here's the most recent text that just came in. You ready for it? At ESPN, Rob, man, we can't even get Ken Griffey Jr. back in the studio, and you are trying for Jack Lambert's teeth. Well, do I have news for you, texter?
It's amazing. You know, I can see Ken Griffey Jr. right now.
And where are you?
I'm in the studio.
Yeah. See, y'all must have forgot. Y'all thought you was dealing with some dude who was just letting it go. I've been holding a grudge about the missing Ken Griffey Jr. cardboard cutout for about 7 months now, and y'all think I just let it go. No, it's called the slow burn, baby. I'm the Bobby the Brain Heenan of the studio. I was playing the long game. Y'all, Ken Griffey Jr. has returned to his rightful place in the ESPN Upstate studios. And yes, I am willing to put Jack Lambert's missing teeth holder right next to Ken Griffey Jr. Absolutely. At ESPN, 200 from me. I already own Bill Russell's kidney stone. All right, it got weird. At ESPN, the show for men would go in as long as they got to pick out the color of the shelf and help with the decor. Shots fired. At ESPN, you sound like a politician giving out all these promises. Zoe, have I made one promise on air that I haven't come through, including Ken Griffey Jr.?
Not that I recall. I can neither confirm nor deny that you've done either.
Congratulations, you are correct. At ESPN, naming rights to Jack Lambert's tooth holder shelf, make it $40. I got to tell you, I got some phone calls to make after the show today, Lonzo. I really do. All right, 844-GSP, ESPN's the number, 844-477-3776 is the number to be a part of the show. Text us 71307, start your text with ESPN. Join us on the stream, facebook.com/ESPN Upstate, twitter.com/The Rob Brown Show. You can join us on the stream, chat with us off while we're on the break, which is what's going to happen right now. Let's take a break. Back after this. My name is Rob Brown. Lonzo is back in the network studio, and you're listening to The Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate. I'm going to throw Lonzo up on the first screen because I'm stepping away for a brief moment. I shall return. Lonzo, entertain the people, buddy.
I caught the end of that, so I have no idea what Rob said, except for entertain the people, and that's not something I know how to do. I've never been able to do such a thing, which is why I'm just sitting here pushing buttons and, not on the other side. I don't know. What am I supposed to do? I can talk about the fact that Rob does not need to, and I got to ask, and maybe someone else out there can let me know this. What the heck's a floating shelf? He said that a bunch of times. I don't know what a floating shelf is. Do you know what a floating shelf is? I don't know what a floating shelf is. I guess it's just a wall shelf. I mean, does it actually float? This is weird. And I guess I could look up what a floating shelf is. By the way, thank you, Brian. I love the t-shirt too. I have a vast t-shirt collection to the point where it might be getting out of hand. and I will go through it on occasion and go, wow, didn't know I had that. And there has happened a couple times where I bought a T-shirt I already had. It's it happens. All right, Keegan is saying it appears as if it's floating, quality decor, and my wife has chimed in and said that we have them at home. I probably even installed one, but I didn't know it was called a floating shelf. I've just never heard of that before. All right, Keegan is asking what my all-time favorite T-shirt is. Dude, that's a hard thing to choose because I have so many different genres. Right now, my favorite T-shirt is the Batman Who Laughs, and not everyone knows who that is because it's creepy and it's. I really like that T-shirt.
I can tell you, I've seen Lonzo wear his Nightwing T-shirt. I think more than any other T-shirt.
Yeah, but that's
I haven't seen it in a while, though, to tell you the truth.
That is my favorite comic book. Is Nightwing.
Were you having by the way, were you having a discussion about floating shelves before I came back?
Yeah, we were.
Dang it, I always miss the good talk.
Because I didn't know what that was. And but apparently not only do we have floating shelves, but I've installed them before. I didn't know what they were called.
They're the ones that look like they're just sticking out of the wall with no support. The support is in the back of the shelf.
Yeah, I get it now, but I just never heard it called that before.
Yeah, I've got two in my house right now that I installed right after I moved here. One of them has is my this. I don't know. Is this weird? I'm going to ask this question of you guys, especially those of you in the chat. Is this weird? I've been told that it is and it isn't. Before I moved here, I lost my dog in Jacksonville. Another dog attacked it, and I had to put him down. I had to have my dog for, 9 years. He was 16 years old, just about 16, 17 years old. I had him cremated, and up on the top floating shelf, I have the box that contained his cremated remains, and then on both sides of that, I have pictures of the dog and pictures of me and the dog. I have both of those in my. I have both of those here in my apartment. They're like a prominent fixture. Is that weird to pay tribute to a past pet like that?
If you were 57 years old and pulled your pants up above your stomach, and also, I would think it was weird then. Now it's. I gotta admit, if I came over and I saw that, at first I would be like, okay, and that would be it. That would be it. I wouldn't give it much more thought than that.
Yeah, it's not like a shrine. There's not like lit candles around it.
Rob, it sounds like a shrine, man.
It's not a shrine.
It does say, it sounds, when there's pictures and then that's a shrine. It is. You don't have to have flame for it to be a shrine.
All right, fine. It is a mini shrine. It's a small tribute. It's a small tribute to my that dog. That dog was my best friend, man. That dog got me through a lot of BS.
Are you looking at the mess? Are you looking at the messages?
Yes, I'm looking at the messages. Yes. Oh, we're addressing this when we come back on air. I'm not going to lie. Like, as we come back on air. I don't think it's...
Which we're getting ready to do, by the way.
Good, perfect. I don't think it's weird.
Weekday noon to 3. This is the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
Welcome back to Rob Brown Show's on your radio. This is ESPN Upstate. Rob and Lonzo with you. Chat inside of our stream is going bonkers during the break there. We had discussions about floating shelves. We had discussions about wardrobes. And then it led to a combination discussion. And this is absolutely not something that I ever thought I would have addressed on the air. But now, because of the debate in the chat on our stream, which you can see at facebook.com/ESPN Upstate, or you can join us on Twitter at twitter.com/The Rob Brown Show. So I have floating shelves here in the home, here at the apartment, here at the Casa de Love. I have floating shelves in my living room, and there's two of them on one floating shelf. And those floating shelves, for those of you who don't know, as Lonzo did not, are the shelves that look like they're just coming out of the wall with no support, right? So on one floating shelf, I have a pair of succulents that are potted inside of...
what?
Succulents, plants, house plants.
Okay.
You know what a succulent is.
Not really.
Oh, so I got to teach you everything. I have 2 succulents. They are house plants.
I was quoting a movie, by the way.
Oh, I did not catch that.
It was a different word, but it was
Supplements?
It was succinct.
Oh, perfect.
Robin Hood Men in Tights, Don DeLuise.
So on the bottom shelf, these 2 plants, and on the top shelf above that. So before I moved here, when I left Jacksonville, I had a dog named Aiko. Aiko was 16, 17 years old. I had him for 9 or 10 years. I got him out of a rescue shelter. And that dog had been abused, had been beaten up. It was not great. And that dog became my best friend. I hate to sound cliche. Well, Aiko was attacked by another dog before I left Jacksonville, and I had to put him down. So when I got here, I have Aiko's created remains inside of a decorative, nice mahogany box. So I have that up on top of the floating shelf. On top of that, I have Aiko's old Saints collar that he used to wear, and I have when you have to put your dog down, the vet will send you an imprint of his paw into a little clay kind of thing. I have that up there, and then next to that, I have a picture of Aiko in my old backyard in the sunshine enjoying life. And then I have a picture of me and the dog next to him. So I don't consider it a shrine. There's not like lit candles or anything next to it. Zoe says it is. So I am going to ask you guys to judge me, which I never do because it never works out well from me. I'm going to ask you to judge me. Is it weird to have a small tribute to a past pet in your home prominently displayed? There's not pictures of them like all over my apartment. It's not like my apartment is dead dog themed, but I do have a small tribute to my dog in one little area of my living room. It is a very prominent. It's the first thing you see when you walk in the living room, just because that's the only place the shelf fit. Is that weird? Yes or no? Is that weird? Is it weird to have a tribute to a passed on animal, a passed on pet inside of your home like that? I would like to point out the most recent comment that has come in, Zoe. And if you would like to read who it's from and what it says, I have displayed it prominently on the screen.
No, I'm not reading it.
Are you sure?
No, I can see it. Yes.
A particular listener.
Yes, a particular listener says, that is sweet. I wish I had something for my dog, Zoe.
Does Zoe ring a bell to you?
Yes, but Zoe was a large dog.
My dog was a 40-pound dog. It wasn't like it was a gopher.
I did. I made an assumption there that it was a smaller yappy dog, and I apologize for that. I feel really bad about that. Because if it's on a floating shelf, and see, this is going to get morbid, but I would think remains would be a little bit heavier for a larger dog. So I've never seen ashes from a cremation, so I don't know, only in movies, so I don't know the size of what it actually would be. But putting all that aside, it absolutely is a shrine, and there's nothing wrong with it being a shrine. The problem is your unwillingness to admit that it's a shrine, because in the end, no one's going to think any less of you about it being a shrine, because a shrine is something respectful. It's something memorable, and this is a dog that you really loved. It's okay for it being a shrine. Why can't you just say it's a shrine?
I always thought shrine had like a religious connotation to it.
Yeah, it does. I suppose. I did look up the definition, and you're right. One of the definitions is a holy place.
Wait,
so
I was what now?
Oh, I have no problem. I have no problem with saying you were right. But I also said one of the definitions.
So is it weird to have a tribute to a passed on, to an animal, to a pet of yours? It's less weird. It's less weird than having a taxidermist involved. I think that is that's kind of weird. Keegan said you should have made him into a statue like JD and Turk did on Scrubs. Oh my God.
Which is along the lines of what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. That would have been weirder.
I think that crosses the line a little bit, but to each his own. And if you want to mourn in that way, then you go ahead. But I think people who have their animals stuffed and put on their shelves, I think that also becomes a problem. And what this all came about from is Jack Lambert's teeth. And I think we should get back to that, because some people are saying, I thought I was listening to a sports show when it turned into HGTV. Well, if we're going to get Jack Lambert's teeth holder, we've got to have the proper shelving.
That is correct. This all started because we need the proper shelving for when we start the crowdfunded purchase of Jack Lambert's Hall of Fame teeth holder.
No question, though. The question along the shrine lines. So if we have this fully lit up with spotlights on it and everything, is it a shrine?
No, it's a tribute.
It's a trophy.
It's a tribute.
Well, or a trophy. Okay. All right.
Yeah. Now, again, we're not going to put like pictures of Jack Lambert. I just want that up there with no context to it at all as to what it actually is. I want people to ask that question every day.
So when things get back to normal and the Girl Scout troop comes through here on a tour,
they gonna ask to.
Yeah,
they gonna ask to. What is that blue box thing up there? Well, let me tell you a story about a kid named Jack Lambert. All right, and his teeth, his missing front teeth. Here's a couple of texts that have come in at ESPN. I have found a new respect for Rob over the dog story. That's from Tiger Norm. Thanks, Norm. Appreciate that.
You know what that insinuates?
That he didn't respect me before he realized that I lost my dog.
If you want to come at it from that angle, yeah, you could.
Look, my dog. I liked my dog more than I liked most people. All right, that's true. I liked my dog more than I like basically everybody who's not a family member. That's not disrespect. I just love my dog. At ESPN, I lost JC a month ago. You love that dog. It's not weird to have a shrine. That is from Rick. Rick, I appreciate that.
See, he's right. It's not weird to have a shrine, Rob.
At ESPN, this makes me sad because my old dog is close to the end of his life. I will definitely do the same thing. Well, man, dude, show that dog every bit of love and affection you have. Trust me. I lost my dog unexpectedly. My dog, even being old, was healthy and ran with the youngest of the pups in the yard. Lost him very unexpectedly. Show that dog all the love and affection that you possibly can. At ESPN, it's perfectly fine. Our pets are like family. Absolutely. That dog was my family. When I had, I'm very, very, very fortunate to have a very good relationship with my family members. My mom and my brother, my sister and I and my nephew, we're all super close. I talk to my grandma once a week. I mean, I'm very lucky to have all of this to all of my family. But at the end of the day, my dog was the one that was there with me every day. When I went home by myself after losing jobs and girlfriends and all that, my dog was the one that was there for me. So absolutely. Rob, to get even more morbid, what do you think the urn or headstone will read for the members of the Man Show? What? No! Stop it. You have taken it too far in a conversation that had already gone too far.
Now, see, we are the arbiters of what is read on the air. Maybe you shouldn't have read that one.
I did not know that's where it was going when I started reading it. I did not proofread that comment. All right? Stop it. Stop it. At ESPN, on our StreamYard chat, which you can join us at facebook.com/ESPN Upstate. Tommy, who is the bassist in my band, says that it is no weirder than the glasses that I am wearing. Stop it, Tommy. I look damn good and you know it. I also have these in blue and black now, too. So now I'll be wearing these all the time. Keegan says, I'm putting it in my will that I want to be taken to a taxidermist instead of being buried. All right, that's weird. And that's going to be
I'm not sure that's legal. I'm just saying.
I've never heard explicitly that it's illegal.
There's that. You're right. But have you heard of anyone doing that before? I don't think it's legal.
All right. 844-GSP ESPN. We got sports talk coming up in the next segment because I'm sure that there is someone absolutely lighting up their Twitter feed that Zoe and I are not talking about sports the way they want us to. So when we come back, is there going to be a pushback for players at all levels that opted out of playing last season because of the coronavirus? One team looks like it's a yes. What do I mean and who am I talking about? I'll tell you when we come back. I'm Rob Brown. He's Lonzo. This is The Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate. I've now had two. Our buddy at Darth Chosen on Twitter has also just said that when I die, I want to be taken to a taxidermist with questionable morals so I can be stuffed. All right, well, between you and Keegan, apparently we're just going to have a plethora of dead stuffed people around the upstate. Wow, this got weird. All I wanted to know was it weird to have a tribute to an animal that has passed on, a pet that's passed on, and now I got people talking about stuffing themselves as if they were livestock. Wow. The show goes off the rails all the time, Lonzo, but this might be the most off the rails of all the off the rails.
Hey, man, you're welcome.
Wow. Wow. I feel like I'm going to need to take a shower after this show is over because of this discussion.
Why? I mean, because now if it were a shrine, then maybe you would need to shower. But since it's not a shrine, you're good.
Oh, my goodness, man.
See, I'm coming across as heartless here, and I'm not. I totally get it. It's really cool. I just, it's just I've never seen anyone do that before, and there's nothing wrong with that.
So you've come around. It's totally fine now. You had a
No. I just said it's kind of weird, but who am I? I mean, just about everything I do is weird. So I don't know what normal is. All I know is we've gotten quite the reaction where we're supposed to get it. So Stick to Sports guy would stick my tongue out at you, but I'm not doing that. Although we are not the show for men, so there we go.
I have nothing. I have nothing to add to any of this.
You have a Prisma in the next break, by the way.
All righty.
I haven't seen the email from down the hall saying, come and see me so we can talk about this tooth holder thing. So, I was hoping I would because I want to have that conversation. But I wouldn't want to rob you of that conversation because how much fun would that be?
Oh, I'm 100% making the call when the show's over today. 100% making the call when the show's over.
So I would request, if I were you, that when it goes up the ladder, that you be the one to plead the case. Just so you can hear what the other people say.
Look, here's what I'm going to say. As an off-the-cuff idea that we discussed for a grand total of 30 seconds, so we've already raised like $275 in pledges before we even really got into the nuts and bolts of how it might work. And then once I said that I would put up a plaque with the names of everybody who donated to it, we had people doubling their pledges once they heard that they would get their name involved on it. I'm just saying.
It's a really good idea, and I hope it comes to fruition, even though, I'll know that Jack Lambert's tooth holder is going to be over my shoulder. Yeah.
Here's my thought. Here's my thought of what we do. All right. Because it's an auction and we don't know what the final bid is going to be or when it's going to come in. And I'm sure there's going to be some Steelers fans out there somewhere that there's going to be some Steelers fans out there that are going to put big money on that. So my thought is we go full GoFundMe on it and we pledge that any amount over whatever the purchase price is, we immediately donate to an animal rescue or a charity here in the upstate.
Good idea. 30 seconds.
And by the way, for those of you who are talking about the echo in my voice, what you're hearing is my voice going back through the speakers in Zoe's studio and then coming back through his microphone to me, which we're just going to have to deal with. That didn't mean turn off your mic, Lonzo. Although I think we're coming back from break. We are. Rob Brown Show back on your radio. This is ESPN Upstate. I am Rob Brown. Lonzo back in the network studio. So one of the big discussions that has been going on is obviously the consequences, the repercussions of the coronavirus season that we lost last year, the lost season to some degree, if you will. Well, on Monday, the Las Vegas Raiders made some roster moves. 3 of them specifically. They waived linebacker Ukeme Eligwa, defensive end Jeremiah Valawaga, and released defensive back DJ Killings. Now, what do those 3 players all have in common with each other? All 3 of them were on the COVID-19 reserve opt-out list from 2020. They went on the list last year. None of them are now on the roster. So the question that folks have been answering, and I think rightly and deservedly so, is this. Was this a repercussion? Was this a punishment for electing to go on that list last year? These three were the only three that were on the COVID opt-out list last year, and they were the only three that got cut this offseason. Now, obviously, it is fair to ask about what their backgrounds were. Eligwa was a fifth-round pick by the Chiefs in 2017, played one season for Kansas City, spent 10 games with the Giants in 2018, was on the Jets practice squad for most of the 2019 season, and was signed by the Raiders last December. Valawaga entered the league as an undrafted free agent by the Lions, played 9 games for them in 2017. 2018 was on the Dolphins practice squad, appeared in 4 games for the 49ers in 2019 before being waived and claimed by the Raiders late in 2019 and obviously opted out in 2020. Killings has never appeared in an NFL game, had spent time with the Colts and Packers before signing with the Raiders in May of 2019 and was on their injured reserve all that season. This brings the roster to 86 players. There are a lot of people that are asking the question, is this a repercussion from opting out? Is this a punishment for deciding not to play for their team? Or as I've heard some people say, not be there for their guys last year when everybody else was playing. And to those people, I'm going to say, Lonzo, no, it's not. It's not a repercussion. It's not a punishment. It's not some sort of slap down for their desire not to play. These are 3 fringe players. They have a grand total of like 12 NFL games worth of experience between the 3 of them. Most of them have spent the most recent years on practice squads or journeying between teams as a backup to a backup. These guys were not guys who were threats to make a roster. Here's the reality. Watch what happens with the New England Patriots. They had 11 guys go on the COVID opt-out list last year. Of those guys, if you were a starter, and if you are capable of production for the team, you are not going to get cut. I know people want to rush, and heck, I'm one of them. I know people want to rush to make the NFL owners and front offices the bad guys. I join you in that sentiment most of the time. But this is not a situation where we've got a big bad NFL team slacking down, cutting down on the little guys. You got 3 fringe players who lost a year of experience. They were already a borderline to make or miss the roster as we cut them down to 52 later on in the year. This is not a punishment, Lonzo. This is 3 guys who had a difficult time making teams as it was, and now they took a year off. It's a fine way, a fine reason, an acceptable reason to take a year off. But whether your reasoning is good or bad, a fringe player took a year out of the league, took a year away from the team. It makes it that much more difficult to make a roster. And as teams get set for the draft and set for rookie camp just a few weeks away, of course there are going to be roster trimmings of guys that they already know won't make the roster. These guys didn't help themselves for good reason, but it is what it is in my case, Lonzo.
In a perfect world, there would be no consequences for opting out, but we don't live in that perfect world. And I think this is a team-by-team basis type of thing. If anyone would hold someone, not necessarily a grudge, but hold them accountable for leaving the team, it would be John Gruden. And I do believe that this is a result of that. And it won't be the first time it happens. You mentioned Belichick. Some of those names that opted out for Belichick were big names. So it's not going to happen with them. But if you're a fringe guy and you don't really didn't think it out to think, okay, I barely have a shot at this team, I'm going to opt out, and think, the NFL, the window is really short. It's like 4 to 5 years or something for a lot of players.
Yep.
And if you're not there, you're going to be gone. And it's just, it's part of it. And they can say it had nothing to do with it, but I believe that it does. And I would think as a person who's in management making those decisions, that would have to weigh into it. It absolutely would have to weigh into it. It may not be the first reason, But if you're on the borderline of trying to decide this guy, and you realize, well, this guy opted out last year, this guy was here, I'm going with the guy who was there because I know his capabilities. So, yeah, I do think that there are repercussions for this, and I think some players are going to pay for it.
Yeah, look, that is the repercussion, right? I don't think this is – I'm sure that there are probably some coaches and GMs that are going to look at guys and they're going to go, you didn't want to be there for us, we're not going to be here for you, you can go find somewhere else to work. I'm sure that's the case, and that sucks. And I don't like it, and it's unfair, yada, yada, yada. But at the end of the day, you're not going to see any starters get cut over this, right? You're not going to see anybody who made the Pro Bowl and opted out get cut. You're not going to see backup offensive linemen who opted out get cut. You're going to see guys that were fringe players anyway, and then lost a year of working to get better at the game who are going to get cut and released. And I'm sure all three of these guys will likely find a practice squad somewhere to join on and give it a shot. But the Raiders looked and said, look, you were already a threat to get cut, and we got the draft in a month and a half away. So, of course, we're going to make the moves. It is what it is. 844-GSP-ESPN, 844-477-3776. When we come back here in just a minute, we talk about what you're talking about. Twitter trending topics. Zoe tells me what's trending on Twitter. I give you 30 to 45 seconds of what I know about it. That's next on The Rob Brown Show. This is ESPN Upstate.
For listening to The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your Amazon or Google smart speaker. Just say, play ESPN Upstate.
Tell you about my friends at Prisma Health. Well, there we go. Turn my mic back on. That's when I got to do those live reads. So we're going to find a way to play some audio or something in those spots so it's not just dead air. But, hey, it's our first day on the stream, man. And by the way, thank you guys so much. Those of you that have tuned in, I very much appreciate it. Remember, you can leave your chats, whether you're watching on Facebook or Twitter or YouTube, wherever you found us. You can leave your chats, and they will all populate and redirect back to the screen that I'm looking at right now so we can read them on the air. Stataka said, could you form someone ashes into a little Jobu for Major League to pour shots for and light a cigarette? Blank you, Jobu. I do it myself. Oh, man, what a great... By the way, it still blows my mind. I don't know why, but every time I see that cat as the what is it, Allstate or whatever, that he does the insurance, Progressive, whatever.
Yes, you're in good hands.
Yes.
Allstate.
Every time I see... but my favorite role of his, without a doubt, was President David Palmer in 24. Did you ever watch 24, Alonzo?
I did not. I try to not that I mean, I'm okay with those kind of shows, but I don't watch anything that's based in reality. I know how that sounds, but working at a news station for 20-something years, it's like watching a depiction of work. No, thank you.
I love 24. 24 was one of my favorite shows of all time, man. It was just a.
I am a Kiefer Sutherland fan as far as a lot of stuff he's in. Especially, I watched Lost Boys again last night because I wasn't feeling well, and that's a comfort movie to me that I can sit there and watch. And they just added it to HBO Max, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to watch this. I haven't watched it this year, so.
Oh, it's a great movie. 24 was my favorite. Any movie that has obviously it's unrealistic, but any movie that has an actual bad guy, or an actual hero that is vulnerable, right? I mean, that's why we all love Die Hard, because John McClane in Die Hard, I mean, you saw his feet bleed when he stepped on glass, when he got cut and hurt. It impacted him. He didn't just dust it off. How many guys you see a guy that gets shot and then 10 seconds later he packs a tissue into that and then he's back to swinging his arm? Like, dude, you just got shot. You're not going about it. Die Hard and 24 were both great because they were absolutely and entirely vulnerable in what they did. And when they got in trouble, they needed help to get out of situations. I loved it. And yes, Tommy just chimed in with the guy in the Batman shirt doesn't like realistic shows. No way.
Hey, man, Batman could absolutely happen. If you're that rich, you can afford to make those kind of things.
Yeah.
You can spelunk. There are things you can do. Yes.
The first time the word spelunk has been said on the show. So when we're talking about billionaire superheroes, Batman's far more realistic than Iron Man, right? Obviously, we know that. And I'm a Marvel guy, but Batman's far more realistic than Iron Man.
Yeah. But Batman would have died many times, but Batman's also one of the smartest superheroes out there. And when they do those things, which superhero could take out all other superheroes, Batman almost always wins because he's smart.
No, I'm so tired of that. No, he
knows everyone's weakness. He does.
What's Superman's weakness?
Kryptonite.
Are you telling me Superman can't hit you from space
but
by dropping a building on you?
He has another weakness. Magic.
Yeah, Batman's not magic. His best bet, he would have to
for
at best
sports
have a sidekick.
junkies.
These pathetic junkies? Come on, look at them.
You eat sports like food every day. Get hooked on the Rob Brown Show, noon to 3 every weekday on ESPN Upstate. And now, the Rob Brown Show presents Twitter Trending Topics.
All right, it's time for Twitter Trending Topics, where we get beyond the nerdy conversation that we were having off the air, which Rob lost, by the way.
Absolutely not.
And I will tell you what is trending on the internet, and Rob will tell you what he knows about them. Speaking of things that are not real, Randy Orton is trending.
Last night's Monday Night Raw got very, very weird during that segment. First off, Randy Orton is a phenomenal Twitter follow if you don't pay attention. Tremendous Twitter follow. But this whole thing with him and Alexa Bliss, man, I'm in. I don't know why. It's just B horror movie. But apparently, Randy Orton is in a Twitter fight with Soulja Boy.
Boy.
Crank that Soulja Boy. He's in a Twitter fight with Soulja Boy right now.
Speaking of superheroes, did you have a song that had to do with Superman?
Yes,
seem to recall.
We cannot repeat the lyrics of on air.
Yeah, it's just
Soulja Boy.
I may have heard that in the restroom. I don't actually listen to that music. Go ahead.
Soulja Boy went full Mark Ryan on Randy Orton and said, "Do you know who the blank I am? I'll bring the real to wrestling. Don't play with me, Randy Orton, ? Randy Orton responded with, "Crank That came out in 2007. You had a hell of a year. Serious money. Hats off to you, my dude. Here's the thing, though. I like rap. I bump that blank all day, whether it's Tunichi, Meek, Jay-Z. But you call what I do to survive fake. Blank that. Come to my world and say it. Dare ya." Soulja Boy responded with, "If you mad because I spit facts, just say that. What you do is fake, and I stand on that. What I do is real. Come to your world, LOL. Welcome to Soulja World." Laughing emoji. Orton responded with, you spitting facts. Seems like all you spitting is the same mess you rap about. Blank. Clear your throat, my dog, and be there. Enough talk. Back it up. I'm just going to say straight up, Soulja Boy, I don't hate you. I don't know you. I know what Randy Orton does is fake. I agree with you. But I'm telling you right now, if Soulja Boy and Randy Orton meet up for a real-life fight, Lonzo, Randy Orton will punt Soulja Boy into low Earth orbit. I believe that.
You know, your first thought when you see something like this is it's WrestleMania season. They're setting something up, but the kind of language that's used in these tweets makes it look
gross.
like there is real beef, and there are some that you didn't read that are even worse.
Yeah, there's some that were very not FCC friendly.
And I want to see this happen. I mean, we're seeing celebrities fight all the time. Come on, Soulja Boy, step up. We'll see what Randy Orton does to you.
I'm not gonna lie, Bad Bunny been bringing it on WWE, and he ain't bad, man. He's having some fun. I like it.
Absolutely, and he's improving, and he's managed to hold on to that title for a while. All right, the next thing trending is John Bon Jovi.
I got nothing. I mean, I'm a Bon Jovi fan. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a Bon Jovi fan. I have no idea why John Bon Jovi is trending.
All right, there are pictures out there of John Bon Jovi in a restaurant he owns, cleaning dishes as they're preparing food for.
He's a super dude. He's a super dude. Apparently, he volunteers in I actually have seen this before. He volunteers in a homeless shelter there in Philadelphia. And the thing about it is, like, he'll sign autographs for people, but he's like, please don't take pictures. I'm not doing this for publicity. I'm really doing that. Like, he's a super dude in real life. Phenomenal guy. All right, that's going to do it. For those of you who joined us in the stream, thank you very much. We had a blast doing it. We'll do it again tomorrow. Make sure you tell all your friends and family about us. Everybody else, we'll be back. Mark Ryan, Diesel, the show for men, Offsides, is up next. For Lonzo, appreciate all his hard work. I am Rob Brown. Have a great rest of your Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen. We'll try harder tomorrow right here on The Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. Later. Those of y'all on the stream, I appreciate you hanging out. We're going to do this. We're probably going to do it most daily, most of the time, but we'll also pop in and other stuff. So make sure you're following us on all of our social media channels at ESPN Upstate, me,
ESPN
at The Rob Brown Show, and others.
WYRD Greenville.
That's all I need.